Chapter 726. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. I will provide you with wonderful novels to read. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Wu Lingfei nodded. Her heart felt much better. In this world, Wu Lingfei didn't have any relatives. Night Sorrow was the only one. Also, it was a fact that they were of different races. She didn't want Night Sorrow to have a knot in his heart because of this problem. In fact, there were many things that Wu Lingfei didn't say. In the eyes of some talented races, humans were weak. They looked down on humans. After chatting with Wu Lingfei for a while, Night Sorrow continued to practice his spear arts. He used the Space Splitter Spear. The Reincarnation Spear was very compatible with him. Right now, he was building a foundation for the compatibility of his doppelganger weapon. Seeing Night Sorrow's focused expression, Wu Lingfei nodded. She knew that Night Sorrow's state of mind was very good. Ordinary things couldn't affect his mood. In addition, it also meant that Night Sorrow didn't care about these things. After cultivating until night time, Night Sorrow called Wu Lingfei, Guan Yi, and Liang Yu to his residence to eat. 13th Junior Brother, I'm here. You can just treat me as an ordinary member of the God-Slaying Squad, Guan Yi said. You're a member of the God-Slaying Squad at other times. Privately, you my 12th senior brother. Night Sorrow raised his wine cup to Guan Yi. 13th Junior Brother, I was a bit selfish this time. I wanted to improve myself and live a more exciting life. I've caused you trouble, Guan Yi said apologetically. Don't say that, 12th senior brother. It's nothing. Liang Yu, you just came here and might not be familiar with it. You'll get used to it. The members of the God-Slaying Squad are a group of loyal people. Night Sorrow shook his head at Guan Yi and then looked at Liang Yu. While you were recovering, I interacted with them for a few days. I felt pretty good. You don't have to worry about me. I can do whatever the others can do. Liang Yu said. Liang Yu then drank some wine and left. He knew that this was Night Sorrow's family feast. He called him because he was afraid that he wouldn't be used to it. 12th senior brother, do you have enough death crystals now? Night Sorrow looked at Guan Yi and asked. It's enough, there's still a lot. Right now, my Jinshi attribute has already been strengthened to the extreme. Only by increasing my cultivation base can I strengthen my Jinshi attribute. 13th Junior Brother, you don't need to worry about me. Guan Yi said. He was very touched. He knew that Night Sorrow had not communicated much with him, and even said that they did not have any feelings for each other. However, Night Sorrow was still willing to help him. After that, Guan Yi left as well. Only he knew what he was thinking. Night Sorrow. Ani Fei has also gone to her loft to rest. If there's anything, just go and call Ani Fei. She stood up and shook her skirt before walking toward her loft. Night Sorrow. What do you plan to do next? Atoy asked Night Sorrow. I'm going to eat the Dragon Spirit Pill to increase my cultivation base. However, it will take a long time to refine, so I can't delay everyone. Later, I'll bring everyone to the island in the Realm Sea to cultivate. Everyone will see how strong they are in the outer region of the spatial turbulence. After that, I'll eat the Dragon Spirit Pill, Night Sorrow said. That's good. The three of us are going to eat the Void Pill to increase our cultivation base. After that, we'll definitely need to stabilize our cultivation base, Sikong Chiyu said. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, let's wait for 2 more days. Let's see how big the war is this time. The war wasn't over yet. Tianji Tower, Eastern Xian region, and Northern Sea region were still attacking Western Nether region's Western Azure sect. That was Western Taitsong's sect. At this time, a massacre was taking place at Western Azure sect's mountain gate. Xiaolan Jun led a group of people to slaughter Western Azure sect. However, halfway through the massacre, a problem occurred. A white-haired, black-robed old man appeared. This old man directly injured Lu Trinswan with a single move. At the same time, he also pushed Lin Yuandao far away. Xiaolan Jun's expression changed drastically. She hurriedly stopped this old man. However, in fact, Xiaolan Jun couldn't resist at all. She was suppressed and forced to retreat. True Ocean Saint, Nangon Saint, and Flying Tiger Saint came to help, but they were also suppressed. They couldn't stop this white-haired, black-robed old man's attacks. At this time, Xiaolan Jun crushed Long Xuanqing's messaging crystal. If she still didn't know what was going on, she would be a fool. She knew that this white-haired, black-robed old man with a gloomy aura was the heavenly underworld saint that Long Xiansheng had mentioned. You dare to behave atrociously in my western nether region? Then, all of you should die. The white-haired, black-robed old man snorted coldly. His attacks became more violent. Xiaolan Jun and the rest found it difficult to resist because this old man was simply too strong. A bunch of reckless fools. The black-robed old man roared as he attacked. Xiaolan Jun knew that this was a crisis for them. If they could hold on until Long Xiansheng arrived, then they would be fine. If they couldn't, then someone would die. At this time, the importance of unity could be seen. No matter who Heavenly Underworld Saint attacked, the others would block with all their strength. The battle was in a stalemate. However, Lin Yuandao and the rest killed the upper echelons of the Western Green Sect. After killing the upper echelons of the Western Green Sect, Lin Yuandao and the rest didn't move. He and Xiao were both new saints. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, a figure appeared on the battlefield. Heavenly Underworld Saint, you don't care about the safety of the 9 regions now. Aren't you afraid that the 9 regions will lose their strength? Long Xiansheng, they have attacked my western nether region. Are you going to interfere? Heavenly Underworld Saint retreated a distance and said coldly, "Why don't you ask why they are here?" Long Xiansheng said, "Xiaolan Jun, I know you. You better give me an explanation." Heavenly Underworld Saint waved his sleeve and said, "It's Western Green Sect's Western Green Sect's Western Green Sect. He sent a high-level saint to assassinate the young master of my Tianji Tower. This is to destroy the foundation of my Tianji Tower." Xiaolan Jun said. Heavenly Underworld Saint thought for a moment and said, "Long Xiansheng, are you guys on the same side?" F3 equals first hair. The person who was assassinated is from my Eastern Xian region. To be able to become the young master of the Tianji Tower, you should know what it means to my Eastern Xian region. Long Xiansheng said, "You guys are in the right. Long Xiansheng, since you are here, why don't we have a battle?" Heavenly Underworld Saint said, "Then let's try. But if you lose, don't get involved in this matter." Long Xiansheng said, "If I lose, you can take my life." Heavenly Underworld Saint snorted and put away the long sword in his hand. Another long sword that seemed to be absorbing the light rose from his back. "All of you back off." Long Xiansheng waved his sleeve and blocked Xiaolan Jun and the others behind him. Then he waved his left hand. As Long Xiansheng waved his arm, the heaven and earth around him shook. Then energy began to gather. At this time, Heavenly Underworld Saint slashed his long sword at Long Xiansheng. With a slash of his sword, a crack appeared in the space. The sharp sword Qi slashed towards Long Xiansheng. Long Xiansheng punched out with his right hand and continued to wave his left hand. With a loud explosion, Long Xiansheng took 2 steps back and offset Heavenly Underworld Saint's sword Qi. Chapter 727. Genius 1, second remember, love, go divided by Xiao. I will provide you with wonderful novels to read. As the energy gathered, a yellow, spherical space appeared. Heavenly Underworld Saint was in the middle of the yellow spherical space. Baidu search, AI go female sign Xiao, say www.aichuxs. Xiaoam Long Xiansheng rubbed his hands, and the yellow spherical space began to spin. Green and silver energy appeared in the middle of the spherical space, and several types of energy began to attack Heavenly Underworld Saint. Is this your spatial attack? You still can't do anything to me. Heavenly Underworld Saint roared, and a grayish-black protective shield appeared. Then, he waved his sword and attacked the spatial barrier of the yellow spherical space. If you can't do anything to me, then what? I hope you can withstand it. Chaotic space. Long Xiansheng roared, and the energy in the yellow spherical space began to tremble violently. The energy trembled layer by layer, and Heavenly Underworld Saint was about to be torn apart. What the hell is this? Heavenly Underworld Saint's face changed when he felt his energy being torn apart and crushed. This is my chaotic space. Even if you want to run, I'm afraid you won't be able to. Long Xiansheng continued to wave his arms, and streams of energy entered the yellow spherical space, increasing the power of the chaotic space. Heavenly Underworld Saint continued to attack the spatial barrier with his sword. However, as soon as the sword chi left his sword, it was destroyed by the chaotic space. The damage to the spatial barrier was very low, and it was impossible to break it. This is a heaven-defying method. Flying Tiger Saint sighed. Just now, when a few of them joined forces, they were still unable to resist Heavenly Underworld Saint. But now, Heavenly Underworld Saint was completely suppressed by Long Xiansheng. Of course, Heavenly Underworld Saint was not willing to be beaten up passively. He continued to attack the spatial barrier of the yellow spherical space. However, as the chaotic space continued to attack, the strength of his attack on the spatial barrier was very low, and there was no possibility of breaking it. Square root ZS asterisk 9 version head M hair. You can still resist. Then let's continue to add more energy. Long Xiansheng waved his left hand, and a stream of fiery red energy entered the yellow spherical space again. As the fiery red energy entered, the energy attack of the chaotic space became stronger. Heavenly Underworld Saint had to use all his strength to support his protective shield to resist. At this time, Long Xiansheng sat down cross-legged. With a wave of his left hand, the khaki-colored space moved above his head. Then, he continuously injected energy into the space. Long Xiansheng, you are very shameless. If you have the ability, let me out. Let's have a real fight. Unable to break out of the chaotic space, the Heavenly Underworld Saint could only passively let out a roar. I didn't set any traps for you, nor did I use any dishonorable means. The chaotic space is my ultimate move. If you can't break it, then you don't have the qualifications to fight with me. Take it slowly. Long Xiansheng waved his hand and sent energy into the chaotic space. This spatial disorder is even stronger than the violent energy attack in the spatial turbulence outside Tian City. If this continues, Heavenly Underworld Saint's body and soul will be torn apart when his protective energy is depleted. True C Saint said with a sigh. Junior, shut up. It's not that easy to tear me apart. Heavenly Underworld Saint tried to break out of the chaotic space. However, even if he managed to break out of the chaotic space, Long Xiansheng waved his hand and the chaotic space flew back above his head. As time passed, the Heavenly Underworld Saint became more and more miserable. He had to block the chaotic energy attack in the chaotic space, which consumed a lot of energy. However, he could not break out of the chaotic space. The Heavenly Underworld Saint took out elixirs and resources from his storage ring several times, intending to replenish his energy. However, no matter if it was elixirs or spirit stones, the moment they came out of the storage ring, they would be crushed by the chaotic space. Heavenly Underworld Saint could not protect himself even if he wanted to. You want to replenish your energy and play a war of attrition? You won't have a chance to do so. Long Xiansheng said coldly. How can I not protect my elixirs and my protective energy shield? The Heavenly Underworld Saint's face changed. If his energy supply was cut off, it would be difficult for him to hold on. Oh, I forgot to tell you. My chaotic space uses space as its foundation. Together with the support of the earth, wind, and fire attribute energy, it can perform space-skipping attacks. So, don't waste your resources. You won't be able to eat any resources. Long Xiansheng said. As the battle continued, the Heavenly Underworld Saint's cultivation was constantly being depleted. If it was someone else, they would not let you live at all. However, I'm willing to give you a chance. First, you have to promise that you will not leave the Western Nether region. Long Xiansheng said. When did I leave the Western Nether region? You guys are the ones who attacked me. The Heavenly Underworld Saint roared. Also, if there's a war outside the 9 regions, will you participate? If you participate, I will spare your life. If you don't, there is no point in keeping you alive. Long Xiansheng said. The Heavenly Underworld Saint tried to break out of the chaotic space 2 more times. However, he did not manage to break out of the chaotic space. Then he agreed. Heavenly Underworld Saint, remember this. Others might not be able to do anything to you. However, if I want to kill you, you will not be able to run away. So, you better not break your promise. Long Xiansheng waved his arm. After the chaotic space shook, a part of it dissipated while the other part entered his body. Long Xiansheng, you win. I will remember this. Why are you still not leaving? Do you want to raise this place to the ground? The heavenly underworld saint looked at Xiaolan Jun and the others and roared. The main thing was that he had lost face. Let's go. Long Xiansheng ignored the flustered heavenly underworld saint and left with Xiaolan Jun and the others. Senior Long Xiansheng, you came in time today. Otherwise, we would be in trouble. Flying Tiger Saint said, there is still a gap between you guys and him. Cultivate slowly. Time is the best grinding stone. Long Xiansheng said, although the Western Green Sect is not destroyed, it has been crippled. The only one left is Yin Shi. I don't know if she will cause any more trouble. Xiaolan Jun said, you guys can solve her problem. I don't think she will dare to attack anyone easily now. You guys should stay in the Domain C and see when Clear Sky City will appear. Long Xiansheng said after arriving at the teleportation array, as long as this heavenly underworld saint doesn't leave the Western Nether region, the pressure on our side will be reduced even if Clear Sky City appears. I wonder if she will go there again. Nan Xiansheng said as he looked at the back of Long Xiansheng. Do you think Long Xiansheng didn't think about this? Otherwise, he wouldn't have restricted Heavenly Underworld Saint from leaving the Western Nether region. Now, we just need to be careful of Yin Shi. She is fast and has innate divine ability. It is very difficult to kill her. True Ocean Saint said, all right, let's go back. We have vented our anger this time. We have endured them for too long. Xiaolan Jun said, she won't attack us because it is not easy for her to kill us even if our cultivation is low. I'm just worried about Night Sorrow. Will she attack Night Sorrow? The reason for this was the assassination of Night Sorrow. Now that things have gotten out of hand, she will hold a grudge against Night Sorrow. Lin Yuandao was worried. Chapter 728. Genius 1, second remember love, divided by little? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. We can only be careful. Love go little say, Chu Xiaolan Jun said. No one could do anything about the current situation. They could only be cautious because only Long Xiansheng and Xiaolan Jun could defeat Yin Shi. Yin Shi would definitely avoid the two of them if she made a move. If she avoided Long Xiansheng and Xiaolan Jun, the others wouldn't be able to withstand Yin Shi's attack. I hope she can take Senior Long Xuanqing's warning into consideration and not act recklessly, True Ocean Saint said. Then, the group went to the island in the Realm Sea to set up camp. The matter was basically settled. They still had to look at Haotian City. Night Sorrow also learned about the battle from Lin Yuandao. Night Sorrow could accept such an outcome because, in summary, the Silver Dusk Saint was still a hidden danger. Then, Lin Yuandao and the others left. Night Sorrow also planned to move. He gathered the members of the God-slaying squad and told them about the training plan. Then, he led everyone out. It should be said that Wu Lingfei led everyone out. She was worried about Night Sorrow's safety and was almost protecting him. After arriving at Haohai City, the group took a flying ship and flew to the island in the Realm Sea. You want to eat the Dragon Spirit pill. Then, you can cultivate with Ani Fei, Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow as they sat in the flying ship. Okay. Night Sorrow nodded. It was indeed time for him to use the Dragon Spirit pill to cultivate. Soon, the group arrived at the area where they had set up camp. None of you have experience in cultivating in the spatial turbulence of the Realm Sea. So, while I'm in seclusion, Yun Huang and Ling Long will be fully responsible for cultivating in the Realm Sea. Everyone must follow orders, Night Sorrow said to the group of people who had set up the tents. Yes, the members of the God-slaying squad knocked on their breastplates and answered. Nan Liyue, give them breastplates. Night Sorrow pointed at Liang Yu and Guan Yi. Captain, don't worry. Everything will be arranged. Love, go little say, Chun and Liu nodded. All right, everyone go do what you need to do. Qin Jun, stay behind. Night Sorrow nodded and dismissed the meeting. Then, he brought Qingjun to his tent. "Brother 13, what can I do for you?" Qingjun asked. "It's nothing much. You're not far from reaching Tier 5. How's your attribute power training going?" Night Sorrow asked as he brewed tea. "I'm doing okay with my cultivation. I feel like I'm on the verge of evolving. Right now, there's the power of death in my darkness attribute," Qingjun said. "Very good. Here, take these death crystals. If you don't have enough, come find me." Night Sorrow brought out 10 death crystals and handed them to Qingjun. "Brother 13, I don't need that much. I'll take 5 yuan first." Qingjun took 5 yuan and pushed the rest back to Night Sorrow. "That's fine. Come find me if you need it. No need to be so polite." Yishan didn't force Qingjun. After nodding at Night Sorrow, Qingjun returned to the God-slaying squad's camp. Then, Night Sorrow brewed tea and drank it with Aoi, Sikong Chiyu, Yang Lei, and Wuling Fei. "We'll be cultivating with the team from now on," Aoi said. "Okay, safety comes first. Don't go too deep into the realm sea's spatial turbulence." "It's not a joke," Night Sorrow reminded the 3 girls. Seeing the 3 of them nod, Yishang was relieved. Then, the 3 girls went to their tents. Wuling Fei also went to the tent that Night Sorrow helped set up. Night Sorrow took out a dragon spirit pill, ate it, and started cultivating. Night Sorrow worked hard to cultivate his bloodline talent and soul power while raising his true energy. While Night Sorrow was cultivating, the others did the same. Aoi, Yang Lei, and Sikong Chu all ate void pills to raise their cultivation bases. The others followed Yun Huang, Ling Long, and Liang Yu to the edge of the realm sea's spatial turbulence to hone their cultivation bases. Night Sorrow cultivated day and night. Refining a single dragon spirit pill took about 20 days. In the Sky Pillar domain, a silver-haired woman in a white dress stood in the ruins of the Silver Demon Villa. Her face was full of anger. She was none other than the strongest member of the Silver Demon clan, Yin Shi. How could she suppress her anger when she saw her clan being destroyed? She clapped her hands, sending the broken beams and tiles flying. She growled, "Xiaolan Jun, you destroyed my clan. You and I can't exist under the same sky. I'll definitely destroy your Tianji Tower." Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. After going crazy for a while, Yin Shi calmed down. She knew that getting angry wouldn't solve the problem. First, she had to think of a feasible solution. This time, she had rushed back after learning that Xiaolan Jun and the others had gone to the Realm Sea. Yin Shi was very strong, but she wasn't Xiaolan Jun's match. Last time, she had used her clan's innate divine ability, which had damaged her chi and blood. Although it didn't affect her cultivation base, it had affected her body. This was also why Xiaolan Jun had said that she wanted to see how many times she could use the wind essence escape technique. After thinking for a while, Yin Shi felt that she had to start with Night Sorrow. First of all, everything was caused by Night Sorrow. Also, Night Sorrow's body had been cultivated to the point where his chi and blood were more than 6 meters tall. This meant that he had a body tempering technique. Yin Shi gritted her teeth and made a decision. She planned to absorb Night Sorrow's chi and blood for her own use. That way, she would be able to use the wind essence escape technique without restraint in the future. After leaving the Silver Demon Villa, Yin Shi went to recover. She needed to recover before doing anything else. Although she hated Yi Shiwen to the core, her many years of cultivation had made her very calm. Even if she hated Yi Shiwen, she could endure it. Night Sorrow worked hard to raise his cultivation base every day. When the Dragon Spirit Pill increased his chi cultivation base, his soul power and bloodline talent also increased greatly. 20 days passed quickly. Night Sorrow's cultivation base had reached the peak of 2nd level Venerable. However, his chi cultivation base was still unstable. This was the drawback of using pills. Night Sorrow's soul power had also increased a lot. The crescent blade of Soul Annihilation Slash was becoming more and more solid. It was sparkling and translucent with a hint of purple. The other 5 bloodline talents were also basically saturated. Their bloodline talents were much more condensed. After leaving the tent, Night Sorrow practiced his spear arts for a while. Then, he went to the edge of the realm sea. At this time, the members of the god-slaying squad were cultivating at the edge of the chaotic streams of space. Yin Huang, Ling Long, and Liang, you were a little deeper. The three of them formed a line that no one else could cross. If anyone else went any deeper, it would be dangerous. After greeting the others, Night Sorrow entered the depths of the realm sea and began cultivating in the chaotic streams of space. In the chaotic streams of space, Night Sorrow was like an eagle spreading its wings and striking the waves. The captain is getting more and more monstrous, Ling Long said with a sigh as she crossed paths with Yun Huang in the chaotic streams of space. Work hard on your cultivation. His combat ability is already strong. Now that his cultivation base has increased, he's naturally stronger, Yin Huang said. Chapter 729. Genius 1. Second, remember, love divided by, go divided by, shall. I will provide you with wonderful novels to read. Long Xiansheng had said that if he found out that she had attacked any cultivator below the saint stage, he would teach her a lesson. Love Go shall say, co with a threat, and she did not dare to be careless. One careless mistake could be fatal. After thinking for a while, Inshi decided to go to the eastern Xian domain to catch someone that Night Sorrow cared about. In this way, she could make Night Sorrow submit without resistance. She had read the information about Night Sorrow's growth and knew some things about him. After thinking for a while, Inshi found a small town and bought a light yellow dress. She also did her hair a little and then took the transmission array to the eastern Xian domain. Inshi planned to take a risk. As long as she did not meet a saint, her identity would not be exposed. She did not believe that her luck would be so bad. After being transmitted to Dongxian City, Inshi found a tea house to drink tea and chat. At this time, the cultivators in the tea house were all talking about the recent situation outside. They talked about the destruction of several major forces and also mentioned the name of Night Sorrow, the Deputy Valley Master of the Medicine Valley. Where did our Deputy Valley Master come from? Inshi asked. At this time, Inshi was wearing a simple and elegant dress. Her beautiful hair was draped over her shoulders, and her face was also very beautiful. She looked like a princess of a big family traveling. No one would doubt her at all. Baidu search, love, go, shao, shua, www.aichux. So the cultivators in the Medicine Valley who admire Night Sorrow very much told her about Night Sorrow's situation. After learning that Jiyuan City was the place where Night Sorrow came from, Inshi rushed to Jiyuan City. When she arrived at a tavern in Jiyuan City, Inshi heard other people's discussions. Baidu search, love, go, shao, shaw, www.aichux. So at this time, in a corner of the tavern, Chun Chun was drunk and shouting loudly, saying that Night Sorrow was not good. That's enough. Did Vice Valley Master Yi treat you badly? I brought you to Dongxian City, but you didn't want to go. Instead, you wanted to use Vice Valley Master Ye's reputation to mess around. Who can you blame? It's your sworn brother who has no morals. A Medicine Valley disciple stood up. They could not bear to see others slander Yishang. Inshi's eyes lit up when she heard the words of this disciple from the Medicine Valley. Since he was Night Sorrow's sworn brother, he must know a lot even without mentioning his value. Inshi walked over, waved his arm, and subdued Chun Chun without anyone noticing. Then, he called for a beast carriage, threw Chun Chun onto it, and left the city. After leaving the city, Inshi directly threw Chun Chun into a small forest and then controlled the water energy to rush on Chun Chun's head to wake him up. Stop playing dead, Night Sorrow's sworn brother. You still have some value. Does Night Sorrow have any relatives? Inshi asked. Sworn brother? Since when did he treat me as his sworn brother? He only has his father in his eyes and doesn't take me seriously. If you want to find value from me, then you're blind. Chun Chun glanced at Inshi and said, I'm blind. Well said. Now I want to ask you, what's the situation with Chun Chun's father? Inshi asked while holding back her anger. Give me the spirit stone, or I won't tell you. Chun Shin sobered up at this time and understood the situation. He knew that this woman was not simple, so he wanted to exploit her. At this time, Inshi took out a piece of upper spirit stone and threw it in front of Chun Shun. Tell me, don't challenge my bottom line. Huh, it turns out that you're someone with status and family background. I told you, are you going to kill me? Swear that you won't kill me. Although I also want to kill Night Sorrow, the premise is that I can't die in your hands. Chun Shun looked at Inshi and said, You're young, but you're very scheming. But I admire you for this. I'm the Saint of the Silver Dusk. Your conditions are not bad. Come with me. I'll let you watch Night Sorrow die. Inshi glanced at Chun Shun. She found that Chun Shun was very scheming. Not to mention his talent in cultivation, this scheming mind could work for her. Saint of the Silver Dusk. You're a saint? Chun Shun asked in surprise. Yes, so you're right to follow me. Now I'm going to catch Night Sorrow's adoptive father. Tell me the details. Inshi waved her hand and released the restriction on Chun Shun. Chun Shun did not hide anything and then told her about Night Sorrow's interpersonal relationships. We can't make too much noise and we can't catch people randomly. It's enough to catch his adoptive father alone. Inshi said. She did not want to make a big deal out of it now. The more secret it was, the better. B Update C. New B. Fast Q. Then, under Chun Shin's lead, Inshi and Chun Shun went to the periphery of Longquan Resort. Saint of the Silver Dusk did not make a move. She had been waiting for an opportunity. In order not to alert the enemy, she could only wait. If she used force, the matter would spread. Killing to silence would not work either. The matter would still be exposed. Go and ask Father Gu to come out. Just ask him to come out. After thinking for a while, Saint of the Silver Dusk made a decision. At this time, she smiled. Because of Chun Shin's appearance, if something happened to Father Gu, others would only look for Chun Shun. It had nothing to do with her. Chun Shin nodded and entered the Longquan Resort, asking to see Father Gu. Seeing Chun Shun, Father Gu was very angry. What are you doing here? Father, don't be angry. Brother Night Sorrow isn't angry anymore. He's talking with several senior sisters in the city and asked me to invite you over. He also wants me to apologize to you alone. Chun Shin bowed and said, Humph, take me to see him. Father Gu snorted coldly. He wanted to ask Night Sorrow why he was paying attention to Chun Shun. He knew that Chun Shun had bad intentions, so there was no need to pay attention to him. After saying goodbye to Hai Luo and the others, Father Gu and Chun Shin left Longquan Resort. After leaving Longquan Resort, Father Gu was restrained by Inshi. Inshi just did not want to show up. It was too easy for her to make a move. After all, she just wanted to put the blame on Chun Shun for Father Gu's disappearance. After taking Father Gu hostage, Inshi took Father Gu and Chun Shun and flew directly out of this area. Then, they flew across the territorial sea to the Taiwa domain. After that, they were teleported to a courtyard on the periphery of the Silver Devil family in the Qingtian domain. Inshi took out a memory crystal and recorded Father Gu's image. Then, she said to Chun Shun, Since you're following me, I won't treat you badly. It's not a problem to provide you with medicinal pills to enter the 5th or 6th rank. Now, go and buy 2 maids back to take care of him. Also, inquire about the people of Tianji Tower and Night Sorrow, mainly Night Sorrow. After Chun Shin nodded, he went out. He knew that his opportunity had come. Following a saint was the dream of many cultivators. Inshi returned to her original appearance and continued to meditate. At the same time, she was thinking about how to trick Night Sorrow out without anyone noticing. A few days after Chun Shin went out, he returned with 2 maids. Chapter 730. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second? We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Inshi repeatedly told Chun Shun not to touch Mr. Gu. It was not because she was kind, but because she knew that Night Sorrow had a strong character. If anything happened to Mr. Gu, she would have no hope of getting the body refining method that she wanted. After Chun Shin left for a while, Inshi left as well. She was going to look for opportunities. At this moment, the 2 maidservants took out the strip of cloth from Father Gu's mouth. Child, those 2 aren't good people. They kidnapped me to blackmail others. Once she succeeds, She will definitely kill us in order to not leak the secret. At that time, all three of us will die. Why don't we escape? My adopted son is a big shot. He's the deputy valley master of the Medicine Valley and the young lord of the Night Moon Dynasty. It won't be a problem for him to help you, Father Gu said to the two maidservants. Old Man Gu could release his mount to attack the two maidservants, but he still wanted to persuade them, because if he directly killed or ran away, it would be equivalent to harming the two maidservants. He didn't want to go against his heart, but the soul-cracking crystal has been planted in our heads. It's easy for us to be killed, one of the maidservants said. Baidu search AI Go female sign Xiao, say www.aichuxs.com. We still have a chance to run. As long as we can find the people from Tianji Tower and the Night Moon Dynasty, you'll be fine. But if they succeed in threatening us, we'll really be finished, said Papa Gu. His body's energy was being controlled now, so it was best if he could convince the two girls. Sister Hua, what Uncle said makes sense. Those two are not good people. Once they succeed, they won't leave anyone alive. What do you think? The younger maid said, Little Star, you might be right. This might be our fate. Let's take a gamble. If we succeed, we'll be free. If we fail, we'll die. There is no meaning in living like this. Love, go little say, Ko the older maidservant, Sister Hua, said. Then let's leave quickly. Time is life, Papa Gu said. The two maidservants untied the rope that tied Papa Gu and then helped him out of the courtyard. Wait a moment, I have a mount. Let's sit on it and find the nearest city to use the teleportation array. After they were some distance away, Old Man Gu released the silver-winged eagle and brought the two girls onto the mount. Uncle, thank you for not abandoning us. At this time, the two maidservants understood that Papa Gu didn't want to harm them. Papa Gu. She changed her clothes again and put on a veil. She teleported to Vast Sea City and crossed the Realm Sea to reach the island where Yi Shang and the others were cultivating. She was very cautious. She did not want to be discovered by Xiaolan Jun, Long Xiansheng, and the others. Although she could still escape using the wind element escape art, she would suffer serious injuries. She hit her cultivation level because a saint's chi was very sensitive. As long as she exposed her cultivation level, she would be sensed by other saints within a certain range. She was like an ordinary person, searching around the island. The island was very big. After searching around for 3 days, she saw the figures of the god-slaying team who were cultivating in the Realm Sea on top of a mountain. Then, she saw Night Sorrow entering the turbulent space in the Realm Sea. After thinking for a while, she changed her direction and entered the Realm Sea. Then, she headed towards the area where Night Sorrow was. Now, she just needed to show the memory crystal to Night Sorrow. By then, he would not resist. She lowered her cultivation base to the Peak Void Inquiry stage and headed towards Night Sorrow in the turbulent space of the Realm Sea. Even though she had lowered her cultivation base, her comprehension of the realm was still there. Thus, she moved very quickly in the turbulent space and went past the area that the god-slaying team could detect. As she moved forward, she had the urge to curse because it was very strenuous for her to move forward in this area. However, she was still very far away from Night Sorrow. She could only see a shadow moving in the storm from afar. After raising her cultivation base to the Venerable Realm, she continued to move closer to Night Sorrow. When she was 10 li asterisk, 500 m per li, away from Night Sorrow, she could no longer move forward. Her current cultivation base had already reached the 3rd level of the Venerable Realm. She did not dare to raise her cultivation base any further, as it would be easy for the saints of the Tianji Tower and the Eastern Profound region to discover her. Left with no choice, she took a deep breath and condensed her voice to call out to Night Sorrow. If you want your father to live, hurry up and come out. Night Sorrow, who was moving back and forth in the turbulent space, heard her voice and was stunned for a moment. Then, he dashed towards Yinshi's location. You are Saint Yinshi. How can you ignore Saint Long Xuanqing's warning and attack me? Night Sorrow looked at Yinshi coldly and said, Take a look at this first. If you want to live, don't be so agitated. You can only come with me. Inchi wrapped the memory crystal ball with her energy and threw it to Night Sorrow. After receiving the crystal ball, Night Sorrow moved his body to avoid the turbulent space. At the same time, he activated the memory crystal ball and watched it. After watching it, Night Sorrow was infuriated. Inchi, you are also a dignified saint. There is no need for you to use such a despicable method, right? You guys forced me to do this. I won't fight you either. Are you coming with me or not? It's just a matter of a sentence. Inchi looked at Night Sorrow and said. She didn't dare to make a move now. Although she wanted to grab Night Sorrow and leave, it was very difficult to catch Night Sorrow if she didn't raise her cultivation. If she raised her cultivation to the level of a high-level saint, she would be easily discovered by Xiaolan Jun and the others. This was also the reason why she wanted to catch Father Gu. Update % latest unspecified currency sunt. I can go with you, but you have to promise not to hurt my Father Gu. If you want to let him go, you have to swear to the heavenly Tao. Night Sorrow exhaled and said. Although he knew that it was dangerous to follow Inchi, he couldn't ignore Father Gu's safety. In Night Sorrow's heart, Father Gu was his family. When he was young, he sat on Father Gu's shoulder every day. Night Sorrow would never forget that because of him, Father Gu lost an arm. Night Sorrow already felt very guilty, so he didn't want Father Gu to be hurt again. I admire you for this. Come with me. After she swore, she shouted at Night Sorrow and left horizontally. She couldn't be discovered by the members of the God-slaying squad, so she had to avoid their line of sight and go ashore in another area. After going ashore, she didn't use force and continued to walk to the other side of the island. She didn't dare to use her cultivation here. When she arrived at the area leading to Haohai City, she looked at the Realm Sea and turned around. She reached out and grabbed Night Sorrow to her side. Then, she wrapped Night Sorrow with her Saint's rule power and began to fly across the Realm Sea. Chapter 731. Genius 1, Second Remember Love, Go/Little. This is a wonderful novel for you to read. While Inchi and Night Sorrow were on their way, Papa Gu and the two maidservants arrived at a city and started the teleportation. Because they had spirit stones, the teleportation was not a problem. After Papa Gu and the two maidservants arrived at Qingtian City, they asked for directions and went directly to the Tianji Tower branch. They found a supervisor and told him their identity and purpose. Lan Yuxuan appeared and reported to Lan Yuxuan, while the manager was still in shock. They are from the Medicine Valley. They were captured. Wait here, said Lan Yuxuan. These two girls are in danger at any time. Can you remove their restrictions first? Otherwise, they will lose their lives if they discover that we have escaped, said Papa Gu. He could not bear to see these two innocent girls lose their lives. I will take out the soul-splitting crystals. They may be injured, but they will not die. Be prepared, said Lan Yuxuan. After seeing the two women nod, Lan Yuxuan first used her soul power to protect the insides of the two women's heads. Then, she wrapped the soul-breaking crystal with her energy and pulled it out of the two women's heads, removing the control over them. Love Go Little Say W, Chu / Top K. I will take these two soul-splitting crystals. I still have a use for them. Remember, don't leave. After that, Xiaolan Jun rushed to the Celestial Peak Pavilion. She had to report to the headquarters. This matter was serious because Papa Gu had described it as Inchi. When she arrived at the headquarters of Tianji Tower, Xiaolan Jun told Guishao, who was overseeing the headquarters, about this matter. Give them temporary tokens and bring them here to protect them. Guishao left the Celestial Terminus Tower's headquarters and headed for the teleportation array. He needed to go to the island in the Realm Sea to report this matter to Xiaolan Jun and the others. After all, Inchi's ultimate goal in capturing Papa Gu was Yishan. When Guishao went to the Qingtian Domain teleportation array, Inchi and Night Sorrow had just left, so they had missed each other. When Guishao arrived at the island in the Realm Sea, he reported the matter to Xiaolan Jun and the others. She captured Night Sorrow's father. Her target is Night Sorrow. Let's protect Night Sorrow first. Xiaolan Jun stood up and said. Xiaolan Jun found Wu Lingfei, who was meditating, and told her about this. When they went to the spatial storm zone in the Realm Sea to search for Night Sorrow, they couldn't find him anywhere. Something has happened. She should have been here. That she might be able to disguise herself, but Night Sorrow wouldn't. Go to the teleportation arrays of the major cities and ask. Xiaolanjuan's expression changed. She had guessed that she would go crazy, but she didn't expect her to be so shameless. Then, the Tianji Tower group moved and found out that Night Sorrow had appeared in Haohai City's teleportation formation and Qingtian City's teleportation formation. I must kill her. Wu Lingfei's face was frosty. She was furious because Night Sorrow's life and death were unknown. Don't be anxious, Mistress Wu Quebec. If she wanted to kill someone, she wouldn't have brought Night Sorrow with her. She must have some ulterior motive, said Xiaolanjun. Chief Enforcer Gua, go to that island and look after Night Sorrow's team. Don't leak the news of Night Sorrow's accident. At the same time, go to the eastern Xian region and inform Long Xiansheng, said Xiaolanjun. Guoxiao nodded and left. Chief Enforcer, arrange for all our spies to find out where those two people are, said Xiaolanjun to Lin Yuandao. After spreading the net, they anxiously waited for news. Night Sorrow was brought along by Yin Shi. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow secretly threw all his important things into the space-time pagoda. He knew that she must have some ulterior motive for him. Therefore, he had to fight a battle of wits and courage to fight for a chance to survive. With the restriction of the Heavenly Tao Oath, she wouldn't kill Papa Gu. Therefore, Night Sorrow had to consider his own danger. She brought Night Sorrow to a courtyard in the outer region of the Silver Devil Mountain Villa, where she had hidden Papa Gu. Looking at the rope on the ground, Night Sorrow smiled. Shi, I didn't expect you to miscalculate. This mountain area is thousands of miles away from the outside. His energy has been sealed by me. Can he escape? Shi snorted coldly. That's not important. Tell me what you want. You've already been exposed. Papa Gu will definitely tell Tianji Tower when he gets out. How can you hide what you've done? Night Sorrow laughed. Shi took out 2 soul-breaking crystals and crushed them. Those 2 bitches really deserve to die. I'll go and capture your father now. I'll deal with you after I catch him. She went in circles to capture Papa Gu to threaten Night Sorrow. Firstly, she wanted Night Sorrow to compromise and hand over the cultivation technique. Secondly, she didn't want to expose herself. If Papa Gu escaped, she would definitely be exposed. Therefore, she planned to continue chasing after him. You don't have to go through so much trouble. It's useless. I'm not afraid to tell you that during the Beast Tide in the Unbounded Desolation, I captured many level 4 silver-winged eagles and gave one to Papa Gu. With a level 4 silver-winged eagle as a mount, do you think he can escape? I'm afraid he's already at Tianji Tower's headquarters, Night Sorrow said with a smile. What are you laughing at? She waved her hand and slapped Night Sorrow. You can kill me now. You've already been exposed. As long as I'm dead, you'll be hunted down. I believe that Long Xiansheng is a man of his words. If he says it, he will definitely do it, Night Sorrow said as he wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Shi's expression changed. She also understood that this was the truth. If Night Sorrow died, Long Xiansheng and the others would definitely not let it go. Night Sorrow, as long as you hand over the cultivation technique, I won't kill you and let you go immediately. From then on, we won't interfere with each other's business, Shi said. So that's what you're thinking. Then I'm sorry to tell you that you're thinking too much. Kill me if you can. Night Sorrow sneered. At this time, he understood Shi's intention. She was trying to get his cultivation technique. Don't force me. If I kill you, I can also get the ancient book from your storage ring, Shi said coldly. Is that so? Then I'll tell you something. If you kill me, you can take back the time-space pagoda. However, as my partner, she will help me do one thing, and that is to destroy everything I left in the time-space pagoda, Night Sorrow said as he held the time-space pagoda in his hand. Shi squinted her eyes and looked at Night Sorrow. She was very clear that what Night Sorrow said was the truth. Since the time-space pagoda had recognized Night Sorrow as its master, Even if Night Sorrow died, it would still complete the final arrangement of Night Sorrow. You're in a dilemma now. Do you want to kill me with the price of hiding like a dog in the future? Or do you want me to leave and end this matter here, right? Night Sorrow looked at Enshi and said. He understood Enshi's current state of mind. Looking at Night Sorrow, Enshi was very annoyed. She used her energy to imprison Night Sorrow. Her left hand grabbed the time-space pagoda, and her right hand directly slapped Night Sorrow. So what if you take it? She's mine. Can you use it? Can you take out the things inside? Night Sorrow stood up and said as he patted the soil off his body. Chapter 732. Genius 1 Second Remember Love, Go/Little. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Enshi was also in a dilemma. If she were to let Night Sorrow go, not only would she gain nothing, but she would also get into trouble and tarnish her reputation. What's the matter? Asterisk, 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 asterisk. If she didn't let Night Sorrow go, she would become the public enemy. Eastern Profound Region, North Sea Region, and Tianji Tower wouldn't let her go. She could ignore some people, but she couldn't ignore Long Xuanqing's words. If Long Xiansheng was bent on killing her, then she could only live a life of seclusion, not daring to appear in front of others. Yishang wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth after she slapped him. He sat cross-legged and meditated without saying a word. He knew that he couldn't anger Shi at this time. Shi was also in a dilemma. Let's go. She stood up and grabbed Night Sorrow to her side. Then she flew away. She didn't dare to stay here because she was worried that Xiaolan Jun and the others would follow the clues and find this place. Night Sorrow didn't resist. But before Shi grabbed him, he poured the energy in his right foot and stomped on the ground. Loved, go little say, W. Chew. You seem to be very relaxed. While flying, Shi turned her head to look at Night Sorrow. She was puzzled why Night Sorrow wasn't afraid. He wasn't even nervous. Why not? I have lived for 20 years, and I have already completed what I've been pursuing. To be honest, I don't have any obsessions. If there's something I can't let go of, it's the women around me. But I believe that even if something happens to me, they will take care of themselves, Night Sorrow said. You have only lived for 20 years, and you have already completed your pursuit? She squinted her eyes and looked at Night Sorrow. She didn't understand. In the years before I started cultivating, I just hoped that Father Gu and the people of Bamboo Garden Village could live a good life. You might not know this, but Bamboo Garden City in the Medicine Valley region used to be a small village with only a few dozen families, Yishang said with a smile. When I entered Medicine Valley and started my cultivation, the Medicine Valley was facing a crisis. It was facing the annexation and attack of the Golden Flame sect. But now, the Golden Flame sect has been destroyed. Of course, this has something to do with Tianji Tower and Dongxian City Lord's office. But in fact, the Medicine Valley is one of the top forces in Eastern Profound Region. Yishan brought up the issue of the Medicine Valley. Then I found out about my background. At that time, I wanted to make the Night Moon Dynasty rise again. Now, you know the situation of the Night Moon Dynasty. In addition, I sent several batches of top-grade resources to the people of the Night Moon Dynasty who retreated. Do you think the Night Moon Dynasty will rise again? So, no matter what you do, I have nothing to worry about. I am just a small cultivator who has just entered the venerable realm. It is worth it for me to risk the future of a veteran saint like you, Shi. Night Sorrow still had a smile on his face. Bastard. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Shi slapped Night Sorrow again because she couldn't control her anger. Night Sorrow had nothing to worry about, so it was difficult to threaten him. Half an hour later, Shi took Night Sorrow into a cave residence. The interior of the cave residence was tidied up like a small room. The furnishings were also full of ancient charm. The light pink bed made the cave residence similar to a woman's boudoir. After entering the cave residence, Shi threw Night Sorrow to the ground and then set up a restriction formation at the entrance of the cave. Search. I will let them search. Not to mention that it is like looking for a needle in a haystack they can't even find it here. Looking from the outside, this is a mountain wall. The sound and energy here can't be transmitted out. After setting up the restriction formation, Inshi's face was full of anger. You are ruthless. Do whatever you want, Night Sorrow said. Inshi looked at Night Sorrow and didn't know what to do. She was thinking about how to get Night Sorrow's body refining technique and then let Night Sorrow leave. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Inshi didn't want to cut off her escape route. You won't lose anything if you give me the body refining technique. As long as I get the technique, I will let you go. I will do what I say, Inshi said. If I give you the body refining technique, it means that I am afraid and give in. In the future, I will not be able to face my own heart. As a person, as a cultivator, I am fearless. You can't make me afraid, Night Sorrow said and closed his eyes. It was impossible for him to hand over the Myriad Dao Tome. At the same time, Night Sorrow operated the energy of the Myriad Dao Tome to refine the energy that Inshi left in his body to imprison his genuine Shi. Damn it, Inshi knew very well that Night Sorrow was telling the truth. After cursing, Inshi stepped forward and punched and kicked Night Sorrow. She directly kicked Night Sorrow and beat him for a while. After being beaten for a while, Night Sorrow didn't fight back. He still had the ability to fight. He had the spatial crack and the Myriad Dao Tome. He also had the power of the soul to attack. However, Night Sorrow didn't move. It was meaningless to fight back. It would only alert Inshi and continue to control his fighting strength. Don't you want to say anything? Inshi, who was panting, asked. She didn't use any energy. She was just punching and kicking to vent her anger, so she was quite tired. There is nothing to say. If you want to vent your anger, then continue, Night Sorrow said as he exhaled. Wait for me to rest first. I will slowly play with you. When I have time to torture you, you will be satisfied. Inshi pulled over the praying mat at the corner of the bed and sat down. Inshi needed to organize her thoughts. Night Sorrow wasn't moved by force or persuasion. If this continued, she wouldn't be able to get what she wanted. Even if she continued to waste her energy, she wouldn't be able to get anything. Inshi meditated and thought. Night Sorrow used the energy of the Myriad Dao Tome to refine the energy that Inshi controlled in his Dantian. As for Inshi's punches and kicks, Night Sorrow wasn't affected at all. A rank 5 cultivator with a spiritual weapon couldn't even break through the defense of his body. If Inshi didn't use her energy to attack, it was no different from scratching an itch. However, Night Sorrow didn't show anything. After all, he still wanted to make Inshi numb. Inshi didn't say anything. She was thinking about how to make Night Sorrow compromise. Inshi didn't move. Night Sorrow continued to refine the energy that Inshi left in his body. Although his Myriad Dao Tome's energy contained the power of desolates, Inshi's energy was very pure. Therefore, it wasn't easy to refine it. The two of them were in a deadlock. Night Sorrow was thinking about how he could escape. As for the pagoda of time and space, it was in Inshi's hands. Night Sorrow wasn't afraid. As long as he escaped, Inshi would immediately lose the pagoda of time and space. This was because Night Sorrow had a connection with the pagoda of time and space. With this connection leading the way for Long Xiansheng, she wouldn't be able to escape. Chapter 733. Genius 1, Second, remember love, divided by little. I will provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow and She were in a stalemate, but Wu Lingfei and the others were extremely anxious. Love go little say Netku at the same time. Lan Yuxuan told everyone that the two soul-breaking crystals in her hands had shattered, which meant that the other party knew that Father Gu and the two maids had escaped. Wu Lingfei looked at Tianyu beside her and knew that Night Sorrow was still fine. Night Sorrow and Tianyu were connected through their souls. If something happened to Night Sorrow, Tianyu would also change. You don't have to worry too much. If those people didn't escape, then no one would know that she did it, so she might be unscrupulous. Now, unless she reaches the stage where she doesn't care about anything, she will have scruples and think about what she will face in the future, Long Xianxing said. The main thing is that Inshi has no bottom line. Wu Lingfei was full of worry. She should be after something. If I'm not wrong, it should be Night Sorrow's body refining method. The Silver Devil family's innate skill is the wind elemental escape, but because it consumes her own blood, she can't use it continuously. So, strengthening her body is her urgent pursuit. Night Sorrow's body is extremely tyrannical and is currently the top in the 9-domain world, so she has her eyes on it, Xiaolon Jun said. The key is that Night Sorrow has a strong character and won't compromise. This is what I'm most worried about, Wu Lingfei said. No matter what, Inshi won't kill him easily, Long Xinxing said. At present, they couldn't find Inshi's whereabouts, so there was nothing they could do. Hashtag First Edition, Master K, give the order to catch Chun Chun. Night Sorrow's father said that Inshi asked Chun Chun to scout for information. Chun Chun must still be wandering outside, Xiaolon Jun said to Lin Yuandao. Night Sorrow was meditating on his own and didn't care about Inshi's thoughts at all. Have you thought about it? After meditating for 2 hours, Inshi still couldn't think of a way. Because if Night Sorrow didn't take out the cultivation technique, she had no other way. There is nothing to think about. If you can't think of anything, I will leave. There is no point in wasting time like this. I will not give you the cultivation technique. You don't have the guts to kill me. Night Sorrow brought out a jar of wine and took a sip. You're pretty sure, aren't you? Even if I can't kill you, I can still take care of you. Inshi got up and started punching and kicking Night Sorrow, knocking him down once again. Night Sorrow did not get up after being kicked. He still had a smile on his face. Continue. Can you be any more shameless? Inshi squatted down and grabbed the collar of Yishang's robe. If I'm shameless, then who's the shameless one between the two of us? Night Sorrow was furious. He lifted his leg and kicked between Inshi's legs. Night Sorrow's kick wasn't weak either. It directly kicked Inshi, who was unprepared. Inshi covered the area between her legs with both hands. She bit her lips and stared at Night Sorrow. Her eyes were about to burst into flames. Night Sorrow's kick had shattered her dignity. After taking a deep breath, Inshi stood up and waved her arms to remove the footprint between her legs. She then went in front of Night Sorrow again and started punching and kicking him again. Night Sorrow's body shrank. He hugged his knees with both hands and ignored Inshi's violent beating. Night Sorrow's strong point was his resistance. If he wasn't compared to a saint, even a paragon should not be stronger than him. You dare to kick me everywhere? I'll let you kick me. Inshi used her saint's rule power to suppress Night Sorrow. She then stepped on Night Sorrow's legs and pushed Night Sorrow's upper body backward. Night Sorrow resisted for a while and gave up. He didn't want to use the Myriad Tao Tome's energy. That was equivalent to exposing his trump card. Besides, even if he used the Myriad Tao Tome, he wouldn't be able to withstand Inshi's attacks. Hence, he could only endure. After straightening Night Sorrow's body, Inshi used her energy to fix Night Sorrow's body. She then kicked Night Sorrow's crotch twice. Night Sorrow's face turned purple with anger. This was because he had cultivated the outer part of the Myriad Tao Tome. Otherwise, he would have been seriously injured. You're fine? All right, I'll see if you're fine. Inshi gritted her teeth and untied Night Sorrow's pants. She pulled out Night Sorrow's big bird and took out her long sword with her right hand. Night Sorrow was dumbfounded. Inshi was too ruthless. She could even do such a thing. At this time, Inshi also released Night Sorrow's head. I'll ask you, are you going to give me the tome or not? If you don't, I'll raise my sword and you won't be able to be a man in the future. You could try. If you dare to cut it, I won't live. If I die, something will happen to my mount. You know what I mean. Night Sorrow said. At the same time, he was prepared. If Inshi really wanted to make a move, he would use Soul Extinguishing Slash and Space Rend to resist. He wouldn't let Inshi hurt his family jewels. Inshi held Night Sorrow's baby in her left hand and the long sword in her right hand. She looked at Night Sorrow's face and thought. She thought about whether she should really stab him and whether Night Sorrow would commit suicide. If Night Sorrow didn't want to live, she wouldn't be able to control it. At that time, things would get out of hand and there would be no turning back. Looking at Night Sorrow's calm face, Inshi was really angry. She was so angry that her body was trembling, because Night Sorrow's face was still full of indifference. As Inshi trembled with anger, another problem arose. She held Night Sorrow's baby in her left hand and shook it up and down. Night Sorrow's originally wilted bird suddenly became energetic and stood upright. Dirty! She turned the long sword in her right hand. Before Yishang could react, she used the back of the sword to fiercely hit Yishang's bird that was about to fly away. After that, she hit it twice from left to right. No matter how strong Night Sorrow was, he also screamed at this time. Although his body was tyrannical, it didn't mean that he didn't feel pain. These two fierce hits were dozens of times more painful than Inshi's punches and kicks. Yo, it's painful. I thought you wouldn't scream. Hearing Night Sorrow scream, Inshi smiled. Previously, when she punched and kicked Night Sorrow, he didn't have any reaction. Now that Night Sorrow knew how to scream, that was where the pain was, and she had a place to attack. You bitch, kill me if you have the ability. Otherwise, I will let you have a taste of this. Night Sorrow, who had recovered, cursed. In the past, Night Sorrow had never cursed, but now he was really angry. This Inshi was not like a saint at all. She had no bottom line at all. Let me have a taste of this. You think too much. Since you are afraid of pain here, let's start from here. Don't worry, I won't cut it off for you. You don't have to commit suicide. Inshi looked at Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow's face changed. He knew that this woman who had no bottom line was capable of doing anything. Night Sorrow closed his eyes and continued to work hard to refine the energy in his dantian. He had to seize the time. If there was a chance, he would run away. The situation was not optimistic. This Inshi was simply crazy. Chapter 734. Genius 1, Second Remember Love, Go divided by Shao. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow closed his eyes and did not speak. Baidu search AI Go female sign Shao. Say www.aichuxs.com. Don't be silent. If you don't speak, it will prove that this is your weakness. Inshi said, Have you never seen a man before? Can you be any more despicable? Night Sorrow cursed again. I've never seen a man like this before. Yishang, I'll tell you the truth. One of my intentions is to get your body refining ancient book. If you don't cooperate, I'll have to sacrifice my virginity to absorb all your chi, blood, and essence for my own use. Moreover, it's useless for you to refine the energy I left in your body. You won't be able to refine it without 10 days or half a month. When the time comes, I'll just make up for it, said Inshi. At this time, Night Sorrow was extremely shocked because he knew that there were some evil cultivation methods and perverts. Back when he was doing a mission in the Medicine Valley, he saw two demonesses practicing such methods. The men who were caught were all turned into bones. You are a woman. You are a saint. You should at least leave some face for your man, right? Why are you doing this? Night Sorrow shouted at Inshi. I don't have a man. Besides, who will know? When I lose face, I don't have much time for you to think about it. I have obtained this ancient book before. Let me take a look at it now. Inshi took out a book and started to study it. Yishang began to curse. However, after a few curses, Inshi shackled Yishang's head. Be quiet for this seat. Night Sorrow's whole body was immobilized. He could not curse even if he wanted to. He could only continue to refine the energy wrapped around his dantian. Original copy of the song. RHV, there was one thing that made Night Sorrow very happy, and that was Inshi's miscalculation. Night Sorrow calculated that he would be able to refine the energy that Inshi left in his body in 2 days. At that time, he would have to take the risk of using the spatial rend. Night Sorrow was lying on the ground. Fortunately, the Silver Dust tribe paid attention to the quality of life. The ground was covered with soft animal skins, so Night Sorrow didn't feel uncomfortable lying on the ground. To be precise, Night Sorrow had lost his chance to escape. When he had discovered that Father Gu had escaped, he should have immediately used the spatial rend to escape. However, at that time, he had still been thinking of foolproof plan. In the end, his dantian's energy had been sealed, so he couldn't use the spatial rend to escape. Without his quintessential chi and the protection of the void protective chi shield, the success rate of using the spatial rend to escape was greatly reduced. At the same time, Night Sorrow was also communicating with Little Kong. When he was about to make a move, Little Kong would assist him. Because the space-time pagoda was a sage treasure, she couldn't keep it in her storage ring, so she kept it by her side. Night Sorrow also explained the situation to Little Kong. He asked if she would be killed by Shi and refine the space-time pagoda if he really ran away. Little Kong's meaning was very clear. If she had enough energy, then Shi wouldn't be able to do anything to her. Night Sorrow's soul force surged, and he took out the high-grade and top-grade spirit stones that he had thrown into the space-time pagoda. He told Little Kong to refine them if the situation was urgent. She would go install Shi. He would bring Long Xianxing over and find Shi through their soul link. In addition, Night Sorrow also said that if he ran away and couldn't refine the space-time pagoda in a short period of time, Shi could only throw it away. After knowing the situation, Little Kong told Night Sorrow to run away if he had the chance. She would be fine, so Night Sorrow didn't have to worry. Shi looked at the cultivation technique. Sometimes her face would blush, and sometimes she would frown. There were many parts of the cultivation technique that a woman without a man like her couldn't accept. However, she still slowly paid attention to it. 2 days later, Night Sorrow had almost finished refining the energy that Shi had left in his body. However, at this time, Shi also stood up. She had finished studying the cultivation technique. Although she hadn't come into contact with this cultivation technique, who was Shi? She was an expert that was second only to Long Xianxing, Heavenly Underworld Saint, and Xiaolanjun. She could easily master an ancient book. You haven't decided yet? Let me tell you, I have almost finished studying the cultivation technique. If you don't hand over the ancient book, I can only use force to absorb your blood and essence. She kept the ancient book and said, "Don't be delusional. My heart is like iron. If I am not interested in you, you can't do anything." Night Sorrow said coldly, "Well, I'm not afraid of you. There's a kind of snake in this mountain called the red scale snake. This snake is not poisonous, but it can induce aphrodisiac. It will be very useful to deal with you. I will go and catch it now." She waved her arm and used her energy to pull Night Sorrow to her side. Then, she left the cave. She wanted to gain experience from being taken advantage of. She didn't let Night Sorrow out of her sight. "Can you be more shameless? Can you pull my pants?" Night Sorrow scolded while being wrapped in Shi's energy. Because Shi didn't help him tidy up his pants, the big bird with 2 red marks was still outside. "I have decided to be shameless. That's it." Shi ignored Night Sorrow's scolding and continued to fly in the mountain. Under the probing of her soul power, she easily caught a pair of red scale snakes. Then, she returned to the cave and sealed the cave again. Night Sorrow used all his strength to refine the energy that Shi left in his body. He knew that he would have to face Shi's shameless actions next. Shi had a great figure and was very beautiful. Especially her long silver hair, it added a lot of flirtatious aura. However, Night Sorrow was afraid. This she was currently a pink skeleton. The energy that Shi left in Night Sorrow's body was getting lesser and lesser. Only a thin layer of energy was left around Night Sorrow's dantian. When Night Sorrow used all his strength to refine the energy that Shi left in his body, Shi made a move. She kicked Night Sorrow flat on the animal skin and killed the female red scale snake. She raised her head and drank the blood of the red scale snake. Then, she cut off the head of the male red scale snake. She opened Night Sorrow's mouth with one hand and forced the blood of the male red scale snake into Night Sorrow's mouth with the other hand. "Now that things have come to this, I can only let you take advantage of me," she said. At this moment, her face was flushed. Night Sorrow was circulating the energy in his body to suppress the blood of the red scale snake. While Night Sorrow was suppressing the blood of the red scale snake and refining the energy that Shi left in his body, Shi's pants were pulled down. With a shake of her hands, she pulled down Night Sorrow's pants. She pulled down Night Sorrow's pants. Then, she took a piece of red muslin and threw it on Night Sorrow's face. There were some things that she didn't want Night Sorrow to see. Night Sorrow was anxious. If he didn't refine the energy that Inshi imprisoned in his Dantian, he would be in trouble. If he used the space crack now, he would enter the space turbulence. The distance that he could travel would be very short. There was no way he could escape. Inshi looked at Night Sorrow's flying bird that was still listless. She picked up the corpse of the male red-scale snake and smeared some blood on Night Sorrow's flying bird. Chapter 735. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. I will provide you with wonderful novels to read. Seeing Night Sorrow's wilted bird, Inshi undressed and sat on Night Sorrow's body. Then she slowly squatted down. Although she had never touched a man before, Inshi's body was ready after eating the blood of the red-scaled snake. She supported Night Sorrow's wilted bird with one hand and sat on it. The moment she sat on it, she let out a cry. At the same time, she operated her true chi and performed a cultivation method of plucking. At this moment, Night Sorrow finished refining the energy that Inshi left in his body. Yishang shouted in his heart. His genuine chi burst out and broke free from Inshi's restraints. Then, the energy of the Myriad Tao Bible burst out. He reached out his hands and grabbed Inshi's arms, who had her back to him, and pulled. With Night Sorrow's pull, Inshi's body sat firmly on Night Sorrow's body. Night Sorrow's thick spear pierced into Inshi's body. The pain of her vital parts being torn apart caused Inshi's true chi to become chaotic. It ran around her body uncontrollably. Yishang grabbed Inshi's hands tightly. After restraining them, he stood up and pushed Inshi to the edge of the pink bed. He pressed Inshi down tightly, and then used the soul destruction slash to slash at Inshi's spirit sea. Night Sorrow wanted to injure Inshi as much as possible and then escape. At this moment, Inshi was in a state of chi deviation. Her true chi was chaotic and uncontrollable. Her spirit ocean did not have any defense and was instantly cut by Night Sorrow's soul destruction slash. When Night Sorrow's soul destruction slash cut into Inshi's spirit ocean, Inshi began to struggle. The soul energy in her spirit ocean surged and began to block Night Sorrow's attack. However, it was too late. Night Sorrow's soul extermination crescent moon blade had already entered her spirit sea. Seeing that there was a soul pearl in her spirit sea, it headed towards the soul pearl, which was also the god pearl. With the impact of Night Sorrow's soul extinguishing slash crescent moon blade, Inshi's blood-curdling screams continued. This was an attack on her foundation. She didn't have the energy to pay attention to the situation of the energy in her body. She could only mobilize her soul power to defend herself, using all her strength to block Night Sorrow's attack on her spirit sea. When Night Sorrow used his full power to execute the soul destruction slash, his body also hit Silver's body. He attacked Inshi's delicate body parts so that Inshi wouldn't have the energy to attack. Baidu search, AI go female sign, Xiao, say www.aichuxs. Calm Night Sorrow had also noticed Inshi's situation. He knew that she was possessed by Zhouhua. The energy in her body was chaotic, and she had no energy or ability to fight back. Once again, Night Sorrow fiercely hit Inshi's back twice. Then he took 2 steps back and used Inshi's skirt to wipe the bloodstains on the big bird. Then he pulled up his pants. While doing this, Night Sorrow's soul extinguishing slash crescent moonblade was still slashing wildly in Inshi's spirit sea. After pulling up his pants, Night Sorrow took out the 5-clawed pterosaur tendon and tied Inshi's hands behind her back. Then he tied her legs as well. Then he hit Inshi's dantian with true chi to seal it. Originally, Night Sorrow didn't have the chance to seal Inshi's dantian. Seeing that Inshi's true chi was chaotic, he knew that she had no ability to fight back. After Night Sorrow sealed Inshi's dantian, Inshi's true chi stabilized. However, most of her cultivation had dissipated. Night Sorrow felt that Inshi was now at Lan Yushuan's level. She couldn't be much higher. OS original unspecified currency R. send after sealing Inshi's body, Night Sorrow's soul attack didn't stop. He continued to attack Inshi's spirit sea pearl. At this moment, Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear was placed below Inshi's neck. He was considering whether to kill her or not. Get her into the space-time pagoda and suppress her. Then, you can deal with her however you want. Shao Kahn communicated with Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow thought for a moment. Then, he slashed fiercely at Inshi's spirit sea pearl again. When Inshi was defending herself, Shao Kahn controlled the space-time pagoda to become bigger. He tried his best to pull Inshi's body into the space-time pagoda. Seeing that Inshi was resisting, Night Sorrow's soul-extinguishing crescent moon blade continued to attack Inshi's spirit sea. Although Inshi's spirit sea had a strong soul power, Night Sorrow's crescent moon blade could still continue to attack. When the soul-extinguishing crescent moon blade attacked, Night Sorrow's body flashed. He grabbed Inshi's ankle and pulled her into the space-time pagoda. At this moment, Shao Kahn appeared beside Night Sorrow. Then, he used his energy to suppress Inshi. Night Sorrow, I really can't do anything to her outside. But now that she's inside, she's like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. So what if she's a saint? She can't communicate with the rules of heaven and earth here, Shao Kahn said. Night Sorrow sat on the steps to rest. At the same time, he put on the storage ring that Shao Kahn had returned to him. He also put away the top-grade spirit stones. He took a part of the top-grade spirit stones and left a part for Shao Kahn. Night Sorrow wasn't afraid now. He controlled the soul-extinguishing crescent moon blade casually. Inshi couldn't force the crescent moon blade out of her spirit sea. When Night Sorrow lowered the frequency of the crescent moon blade's attack, Inshi's condition improved a little. Night Sorrow, I admit defeat. Just kill me. I accept my fate, Inshi said embarrassedly. At this moment, Inshi looked very pitiful. Her naked body was covered in sweat. She tried her best to cover up the blood stains between her legs. Why do you have to do this? Night Sorrow said with a frown. The winner is the king, and the loser is the bandit. I have nothing to say. Maybe this is the price of doing something despicable, Inshi said while gasping for breath. Yishang, subdue her. Her cultivation base is damaged, and she's lost most of her cultivation base. However, her soul cultivation base is still there, and so is her realm. She can still improve in the future. Little Kong communicated with Yishang. I won't kill you, just like you won't kill me. But you have to surrender, Night Sorrow said. You're delusional. I'm a saint, a 7-star saint. How can I surrender to a supremacy like you? That's a joke. If I want to die, I can do it. After saying this, Inshi controlled her soul power to self-destruct. At this moment, Night Sorrow's crescent moon blade stirred in Inshi's spirit sea, making her soul power unable to gather. After struggling for a while, Inshi gave up. You can't keep doing this, right? You'll self-destruct if you're not careful. Do I have to keep preventing you from committing suicide? But that's fine. I can still afford it, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow, you can torture her. As long as she doesn't resist, you can control her by leaving a strand of soul power in her god orb. At that time, you'll be able to feel the fluctuation of her soul power. It'll be impossible for her to commit suicide. Shao Kahn communicated with Night Sorrow. I didn't expect you to have so many ideas. Night Sorrow glanced at Shao Kahn, who was beside him. Then, Night Sorrow controlled the crescent moon blade to slash at Inshi's god orb. At this moment, Inshi did something that surprised Night Sorrow. She let go of all her soul power defense and let Night Sorrow kill her. She wanted to die. She had always been an expert of the 9 regions and could be said to be the leader of the heroes. Today, she was humiliated in front of Night Sorrow. It was hard for Inshi to accept it. In addition, half of her cultivation was destroyed. She no longer had the motivation to live. Chapter 736. Genius remembers love in 1 second / small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Because Inshi did not resist, Night Sorrow's soul power successfully entered Inshi's soul bead. Then, Some fragments appeared in Night Sorrow's mind. Night Sorrow knew that it was Enshi's memory. "You shameless bastard. I asked you to kill me. What did you do?" She cursed. Of course, she knew what was going on. At this moment, she was hysterical. "I won't kill you. You just have to behave in the future. It won't be a problem for you to recover your strength." Night Sorrow was very happy that he successfully left his soul power in Enshi's soul bead. "That's impossible. You want to control me? That's absolutely impossible." Enshi said, "We don't need a day or two to decide the winner between us. I have the ability to make you submit." Night Sorrow's soul power vibrated. Following the vibration of Night Sorrow's soul power, Enshi screamed and her body fell down again. Night Sorrow sat on the steps, took out a jar of wine, and drank 2 mouthfuls. "It's really not easy." Enshi looked at Night Sorrow. She wanted to say something, but she didn't say anything. She didn't understand how Night Sorrow undid the true chi binding. "You could just stay here and cultivate. What you lack now is true chi energy. You can slowly recover, but don't have any crooked thoughts. As long as you have any thoughts, I will know. You also know how it feels to have your soul tortured." Night Sorrow's soul power vibrated again. Following the vibration of Night Sorrow's soul power, Enshi screamed again. Looking at Enshi, Night Sorrow untied the 5-clawed pterosaur tendon on Enshi's body. "I want to go out and take a bath." Enshi took out a silk dress to cover her delicate body. Then, she looked at Night Sorrow and said, "All right, I'll say it again. Don't even think about it. You know what it means to have your soul taken over. As long as you leave the edge of the area I don't control, I will shake up your soul power." After saying that, Night Sorrow brought Enshi out of the space-time pagoda. "Go and take a bath. After opening the cave's restriction, don't close it again." Night Sorrow looked at Enshi and said. Night Sorrow also went to the water source to get some water. He wanted to make tea. For the past few days, Night Sorrow's heart had been tense. It was really not easy to win a battle of wits and courage. "Shameless," Enshi scolded when she saw Night Sorrow walking over. "I'm shameless? It's all your fault. You're the one who did all these shameless things. Don't blame it on me." After hearing Enshi's words, Night Sorrow was furious. It was Enshi who pushed him down first. Enshi shrank back into the water, but did not speak. Because Night Sorrow's words were true. She was the one who wanted to do those things. After getting water, Night Sorrow returned to the cave to make tea. He planned to go back after dealing with Enshi's matter. He knew that Wu Lingfei and the others must be very worried during this period of time. After changing into a clean silk dress and combing her hair, Enshi returned to the cave. However, her footsteps were a little unsteady. Some parts of her body had suffered heavy injuries. "You should enter the space-time pagoda to cultivate. We can talk about it slowly." Night Sorrow said. "You won't let me go?" Enshi looked at Night Sorrow and asked. "You shouldn't ask this. Do you think it's possible? However, I think that even if you surrender, you won't lose anything." Night Sorrow said, "Freedom and dignity are the most basic things in life. Without these 2 things, do you think the loss is nothing?" Enshi asked in return, "But didn't you do the same to me? You even said that you would absorb my blood and essence. I think it's better for you to enter the space-time pagoda. Don't force me to use force. It won't feel good to attack your soul." Night Sorrow said as he dragged the space-time pagoda with his right hand. After thinking for a while, Enshi did not speak. She knew that it was meaningless to resist because Night Sorrow would definitely persist. If Night Sorrow wanted to leave, he would definitely have her in his hands. Struggle? It was useless to struggle when the divine orb was controlled. Remember, I don't want to see those people. If I lose my dignity in front of them, no matter what, I won't live. Enshi exhaled and said, "Okay, we'll go out first. You continue to seal this place. Perhaps we will come back one day." Night Sorrow put away the tea set and left the cave. Enshi, who followed behind, left the cave and casually sealed it. Don't resist. After instructing Enshi, Night Sorrow's soul power wrapped around Enshi and sent her into the space-time pagoda. Then, Night Sorrow began to fly. He still remembered the route and direction that Enshi brought him. While flying, Night Sorrow and She communicated. Although She did not want to speak, she still told Night Sorrow that her cultivation was now at the 7th level of the martial honor realm. She had lost 80% of her true chi. Look at this chapter. Night Sorrow said that as long as one's comprehension was still there, one's true chi cultivation would be very easy. Night Sorrow pondered while flying. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow threw 3 dragon spirit pills into the space-time pagoda. At the same time, he told She about the usage of the dragon spirit pills. He was not worried that She could make a comeback. Soul control was the most thorough control. As long as She was alive, as long as Night Sorrow did not retract his soul power, She would forever be under his control. She didn't say anything. She took one and ate it. Night Sorrow did not pay attention to She. After flying for more than a day, Night Sorrow arrived at Qingtian City. After arriving at Qingtian City, Night Sorrow thought for a while. He felt that if he did not say anything about She, it would be difficult to subdue her if he angered her. After making his decision, Night Sorrow arrived at the Celestial Peak Pavilion and went directly to the Dark Tower. At this time, Xiaolan Jun and the others were waiting for news in the Dark Tower. Chen Chen had been captured, but when they went to the stronghold, they did not find She and Night Sorrow. The footprints that Night Sorrow left behind only proved that he was still alive and did not provide any clues. Seeing Night Sorrow arrive, the group stood up. Night Sorrow, you're back? She didn't do anything to you, right? Wu Lingfei went up and grabbed Night Sorrow's arms as she sized up Night Sorrow. I'm fine. After the matter was exposed, she didn't want to leave any leeway and asked me for a cultivation technique. I didn't give it to her, so she had no choice but to let me go. Night Sorrow helplessly lied. At this time, Night Sorrow also activated the soul power in She's divine pearl, so that She could hear what he was saying. Fortunately, she still understands. It seems that the key to this matter was Father Gu running out. Otherwise, she wouldn't be worried that it would be exposed. Things would be troublesome then, Lin Yuandao said. Then, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. They had been very worried for the past few days. It's good that everything's fine. She hasn't given up yet, so the situation can be controlled, Xiaolan Jun said. Night Sorrow nodded and then asked about the God-slaying squad. After knowing that the God-slaying squad was fine, Night Sorrow planned to return to the island. The main reason was that he wanted to cultivate in seclusion and study She. She had to be subdued. Okay, then you go. Tianyu is waiting outside. Take him away. Also, Father Gu is in your mansion number 9, Wu Lingfei said. Chapter 737. Genius remembers love in 1 second /small. Shua Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow saw Tianyu outside the Ankh Palace and greeted Tianyu. He patted Tianyu's neck and led Tianyu out of the Tianji Tower headquarters, returning to mansion number 9. When Papa Gu saw Night Sorrow, he patted Night Sorrow's shoulder heavily with his single arm. I knew you'd be fine. I'm relieved that you're fine, Night Sorrow said as he hugged Papa Gu. Kaixiang brewed tea for Night Sorrow and Papa Gu. Papa, the Longquan courtyard isn't safe. Let's stay here, Night Sorrow said. Tianji Tower's mansion area did not allow members outside of Tianji Tower to enter, but there were exceptions to everything. Night Sorrow was the young master, so it was reasonable for the young master's adoptive father to stay here. Besides, Papa Gu was personally sent over by Lin Yuandao. No, the Longquan courtyard is very good. If it weren't for that bastard Chen Shan, this wouldn't have happened, Papa Gu said. The matter this time has been resolved, so it should be safe, but you should stay here for a few days first. Night Sorrow originally wanted to say that it would be fine to go back, but he thought of another problem, which was Su Mu. If Su Mu had evil intentions, it would be a big problem. After drinking the tea, he let Papa Gu rest. Night Sorrow entered the secret training room and then entered the space-time pagoda. Seeing Night Sorrow enter, She, who was meditating, stood up. It's better to continue refining the dragon spirit pill. I want to ask something. What's the situation with Su Mu? Night Sorrow sat on the steps of the space-time pagoda and asked, "It's easy for me to refine the dragon spirit pill. I've finished refining it," Inchi said. Night Sorrow was shocked. He had to refine the dragon spirit pill for 20 days, but Inchi had finished refining it in 2 days. It was simply terrifying. After thinking about it for a while, Yishang understood. She was a 7-star saint. Although her cultivation was destroyed, she still had some of her abilities. Although he was shocked, Night Sorrow asked, "What's the situation with Su Mu? Will he threaten my family again?" "I don't want to say too much. After all, as his master, I can't betray him. However, he's an unscrupulous person, but I'm not sure if he will hurt your family. Love, go little say, Network W." Chuin, she hesitated and said hesitated. "All right, I understand." Yishang nodded. He was quite satisfied with Inshi's answer. After pondering for a moment, Yishan took out 2 pieces of Ice Spirit Blood Essence and handed it to Inshi. "This is a resource for replenishing blood chi. Your blood chi has been injured before. Try to see if it can be replenished. It's useless for you to do this." "I won't surrender," Inshi said. "Do you want me to force you?" "I don't want to torture a woman," Night Sorrow said with a sigh. "I might be able to tolerate losing my freedom, but I will never give up my dignity," Inshi said while looking at Night Sorrow. "Dignity? You have no dignity with me. Don't you understand? You've already treated me that way. Do you still have dignity?" Night Sorrow was a little angry when he heard Inshi's words. "I owe you something, so I won't say anything. However, in front of others, I'm Sage Inshi," Inshi said. "In front of others, I'll leave you with dignity. However, in front of me, you have to be obedient. This is non-negotiable." Night Sorrow warned Inshi with his soul power and left the space-time pagoda. He wanted to give Inshi time to think. After leaving the space-time pagoda, Night Sorrow fell into deep thought. He had many enemies, and Father Gu's safety was his weakness. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that he had to persuade Father Gu to go to the city in the sky. Only then would he be at ease. Su Mu was not a supremacy. He would be courting death if he went to the city in the sky. Yi Linglan was in the city in the sky. Besides, if he was not familiar with the city in the sky, he could not teleport there. After cultivating for a night and having breakfast with Father Gu, Night Sorrow told him his thoughts and concerns about his safety. "That's fine. I'll go to the city in the sky with you," Father Gu said. He did not want to be a burden to Night Sorrow and make him worry all the time. Then, Night Sorrow sent Father Gu to the city in the sky and told Yi Linglan about Father Gu. Night Moon was young master's adoptive father, so his status was extremely noble. Yi Linglan bowed and expressed to Night Sorrow that there would be no problem. After making arrangements for Father Gu, Night Sorrow left. Night Sorrow's 2 potential opponents were Ji Yu Hao and Su Mu. However, the city in the sky was not a place where the 2 of them could behave atrociously. As for Chun Chen's matter, Night Sorrow did not want to give up. After returning to the Qingtian territory, Night Sorrow went to Tianji Tower and went to the Secret Tower. In the Secret Tower, Night Sorrow saw Lin Yuandao and Guo Xiao. "Kid, why are you back again?" Lin Yuandao asked. He was genuinely happy that Night Sorrow had returned safely. If something had happened to young Master Night Sorrow, it would have been a huge blow to Tianji Tower. "Help me put up a bounty. I must catch him," Night Sorrow said. "Who?" Wu Xiao asked. "Chen Shun and Su Mu. Chen Shun betrayed my adoptive father. He must be caught. Also, Su Mu threatened to kill me. He's an unscrupulous person. I want to find him and kill him first to prevent future trouble," Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow also wanted to kill Ji Yu Hao, but he was wanted with great fanfare. It was equivalent to declaring war on the Ji Yu family. Night Sorrow did not have the ability to start a war with the Ji Yu family, so he planned to endure it for now. Chen Shun has been captured by Tianji Tower and is now in the dungeon. As for Su Mu, I'll take care of it. Do you need him alive? If not, issue a kill order, Guo Xiao said. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, "Chen Shun, I don't want to see him again. I can tolerate other things, but I can't accept repaying kindness with enmity and hurting Father Gu. Director Guo can handle this matter." As for Su Mu, he can't arouse my interest in fighting. If I encounter him, I'll deal with him directly. If it was someone stronger than him, Night Sorrow would kill him himself. Su Mu had already been defeated by him and had not yet entered the Venerable Realm. Night Sorrow felt that there was no need to waste time. This was the mentality of a powerhouse, because Su Mu was no longer qualified to be his opponent. There was no point in stepping on an opponent who had been stepped on once. Okay, you're right. There's no need to waste energy on someone who's no match for you, Lin Yuandao said. After thinking for a moment, Night Sorrow clenched his fists and loosened them. Chun Chun is a pitiful person. Don't kill him. Destroy his cultivation and throw him to Bamboo Garden City. Tell the city lord of Bamboo Garden City that it's my order. Also, don't allow him to take a step out of Bamboo Garden City. Lin Yuandao and Guo Xiao looked at each other and nodded. They also supported Night Sorrow's decision. After giving the instructions, Night Sorrow left. He was now going to the island in the Realm Sea to cultivate. While cultivating, he also had to deal with Inshi's matter. 6 permanent % exemption from FWFT small. Issei, he's still kind, Guo Xiao said. Chapter 738. Genius remembers love in 1 second /small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. After leaving the Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow rushed to the island in the Domain Sea. It was very convenient with the teleportation array. In less than a day, Night Sorrow returned to his tent. At this time, the other members of the God-slaying team were cultivating. No one knew about Night Sorrow's accident. Night Sorrow first went to Wu Lingfei's tent. Have you arranged for Old Man Gu's matter? Wu Lingfei looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Yes, I sent him to the city in the sky. It's enough to suffer once. Night Sorrow said, You're right. There are all kinds of people now. There's no bottom line. If you can prevent it, do it. Wu Lingfei nodded. Then, Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei went to visit Long Xianxing. It's good that you're back. Otherwise, I wouldn't have let her go. You still have to work hard to cultivate. Strength is the only way to protect yourself. Long Xianxing said. After visiting all the people he should visit, Night Sorrow returned to his tent. After returning to the tent, Night Sorrow entered the space-time pagoda. Seeing Night Sorrow, Inshi stood up and said, What do you want? I'm going to solve your problem now. Are you going to submit or not? Night Sorrow looked at Inshi and asked. Inshi turned her head and didn't answer because she was unwilling to submit. If she didn't submit, her soul would be controlled by Night Sorrow. Then let's fight. Night Sorrow sighed and then shook the soul power left in Inshi's divine pearl. As Night Sorrow's soul power shook, Inshi held her head and fell down. The pain that went deep into the soul was not something she could resist. Little Kong, go to the top floor. Don't come here. Night Sorrow said to Little Kong. There were some things he didn't want Little Kong to know. Okay, then I'll go to the top floor and not observe this place. Shao Kong then left Night Sorrow's side. Night Sorrow took out a stone stool made of spirit jade and sat on it. Then he began to cultivate. At the same time, his soul power was constantly vibrating. However, Night Sorrow soon gave up on cultivating because Inshi's cries and moans kept ringing out. He just couldn't calm down. Stop. Don't torture me anymore. Or you can just kill me. Inshi raised her head and looked at Yishang. Her eyes were full of begging. I can't kill you. Your cultivation will recover. It just takes time. You're one of the 9 zone's top fighters. I can't just lose you like this. Night Sorrow shook his head and continued to vibrate his soul power. At this moment, he wanted to exploit Inshi's pride and make her submit to him. As Night Sorrow's soul power continued to vibrate, Inshi covered her head and fell down again. She couldn't bear the pain that came from the depths of her soul. After half an hour, Inshi, whose face was full of sweat, rolled to Night Sorrow's side. Stop, I admit defeat. / positive $V version, first post, what do you admit? Night Sorrow didn't stop vibrating. He wanted to take Inshi down in one go. Baidu search, AI go, Xiao Shua, www.aichux, I admit defeat. Inshi cried out in pain. She was unwilling to admit defeat from the bottom of her heart. Night Sorrow nodded and stopped torturing Inshi's soul. Then, he stood up and said, "Then I'll say a few things. In front of outsiders, I'll try my best to preserve your dignity. However, in front of me, you must obey me. You can't resist at all. In addition, I'll help you to improve your cultivation." "Okay." Inshi nodded. After sitting down, Night Sorrow thought for a while and said, "Then take off your skirt." Night Sorrow wanted to know if she was absolutely obedient. If she could do it, then there wouldn't be a problem. "Can I help you fight?" She hesitated. If she really had to take off her clothes in front of Night Sorrow, then she would have nothing in front of Night Sorrow. "It seems that you still don't remember what I meant when I said that you must obey me and you can't resist at all." Night Sorrow vibrated his soul power again. He didn't want to do it either, but he had to do it in one go and completely break down Inshi's inner defense. Inshi squatted down again and screamed while covering her head. After holding on for a while, she couldn't take it anymore and shouted for Night Sorrow to stop. Yishang stopped the trembling of his soul power and looked at Inshi. Biting her lips, Inshi closed her eyes and untied her belt. She let her clothes slide off her body. "Open your eyes," Night Sorrow said. Then, Inshi opened her eyes, and there was something sparkling in her eyes. "This is the price you have to pay," Night Sorrow said. Inshi looked at Night Sorrow, and the disappointment in her heart was indescribable. In the past, Night Sorrow was just an ant that could be crushed at any time in her eyes. But now, he controlled her destiny. "Just do what I want. Haven't you seen enough?" Inshi stared at Night Sorrow and spoke with a hint of arrogance in her words. Originally, looking at Inshi's curvy body, Night Sorrow's lust rose in his heart. However, he planned to leave and didn't think of doing anything. But after listening to Inshi's words, Night Sorrow stood up. He decided to cut off the last trace of Inshi's pride. Taking a step forward, Night Sorrow pulled Inshi and pushed her to the spiritual jade stone block that he was meditating on. Then he untied his robe. Looking at Inshi, who was lying on the spiritual jade stone block, Night Sorrow pulled up one of her legs and rushed forward like an angry bird. Following the impact of Night Sorrow, Inshi screamed and cried. Her body couldn't take it, and she felt wronged. Night Sorrow had been suppressing it for a long time. At this time, he didn't have any scruples like when he was with Sikong Chuyu and Yonglei. He just rushed forward. After half an hour, Night Sorrow was finally done. However, there were no sequelae. He didn't want Inshi to give him a child. After Night Sorrow was done, Inshi was limp. If the last time didn't count, this was her first time. How could she withstand Night Sorrow's violent whipping? Rest well and cultivate. Remember my words. After tidying up his robe, Night Sorrow flashed and left the time-space pagoda. At this time, he was embarrassed to face Inshi. Originally, he only wanted to subdue Inshi as a fighter. But now, it wasn't as simple as subduing a fighter. There were other factors. After resting for a while, Inshi picked up her skirt and put it back on. Then, she meditated and cultivated. In Inshi's eyes, cultivation was everything. Even if her soul was controlled, cultivation was still the capital to be valued. Night Sorrow made a pot of tea and drank it to ease his mood. He felt that what he did was a little wrong. However, he didn't blame himself. It could only be said that everything was brought upon by Inshi. After leaving the tent, Night Sorrow went to the water source again and asked Little Kong if he could get some water from the time-space pagoda. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Little Kong replied that there was no problem. Chapter 739. Genius 1, Second Remember Love, Go/Small. Net provides you with wonderful novels to read. Xiao Kong was also amazing. She directly created a pool in the Space-Time Treasure Pagoda. She was the master of the Space-Time Treasure Pagoda, so she could do whatever she wanted. Xiao Kong, move the pool to the higher levels and also move her there. She will listen to me in the future, so cultivation is more important. It is good that she can recover as soon as possible, Night Sorrow said to Xiao Kong. Okay, get her to the 60th level. Any higher, and it will be the power of space. It is meaningless for her. Shao Kahn communicated with Yi Shiwen. Okay, then move her and the pool to the 60th level, Night Sorrow said to Shao Kahn. Then Shao Kahn did as Night Sorrow said. In Shi, who had been moved, woke up from her meditation. Feeling the dense spirit chi in the pool, In Shi was stunned. She did not expect this situation. I don't like the feeling of emptiness here. It is very depressing. Next time I go to the city, I will buy things myself. In Shi said, okay, this is where you live. If you make it stinky, you have to bear it. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, Bastard, what are you thinking? Even if my cultivation is greatly damaged, I am still a high-level venerable. How can this happen? Although she was controlled by Night Sorrow, Inshi could not help but curse. Okay then, I just want to remind you, if something happens, your god orb will vibrate and I will know. Night Sorrow said to Inshi and left the space-time treasure pagoda again. After Night Sorrow left, Inshi sat on the futon. She did not cultivate, but fell into deep thought. She had been in despair for the past few days, but now, Night Sorrow's attitude made her feel that Night Sorrow was not a bad person. She also had the desire to live in her heart. After leaving the space-time treasure pagoda, Night Sorrow took out the space splitter spear and started cultivating. He had completely let go of the matter with Inshi. He planned to go to the domain C to stabilize his cultivation. When his cultivation was completely stable, he could eat the dragon spirit pill and continue to improve his cultivation. Night Sorrow was cultivating when Wu Lingfei came over. Ani Fei is here. Seeing Ani Fei makes me feel at ease. Night Sorrow sat down at the tea table and said, Aunt Fei, don't say that. Along the way, you've helped me too much. Night Sorrow is truly grateful. Knowing Aunt Fei is Night Sorrow's fortune. Night Sorrow took the teapot and poured a cup of tea for Wu Lingfei. There's no need to be so courteous with Ani Fei. Let's work hard together. The world is so chaotic right now. We can't do anything without strength, Wu Lingfei said. Ani Fei, you don't have to be too tired. I will work hard. When I have the ability, I will take care of things. Night Sorrow nodded to Wu Lingfei. In Ani Fei's eyes, you are the best. Don't tire yourself out. After instructing Night Sorrow and asking about Night Sorrow's soul avatar, Wu Lingfei left. Night Sorrow's avatar in the Phantom Dao Stone was becoming more and more solid. However, its size didn't increase by much. It was only half the size of a human head. If he wanted to cultivate it successfully, he still had a long way to go. Night Sorrow then entered the realm C and rushed toward the spatial storms. Sikong Chiyu, Yang Lei, and Ahoy were surprised when they saw Night Sorrow's figure. Chiyu, we didn't see Night Sorrow go out, right? Why did that guy come in from outside? Yang Lei, who was very close to Sikong Chiyu, asked. Yeah, I'm also very puzzled. Maybe he came out from somewhere else. Let's consolidate our cultivation. He improved faster than us in there. In addition, there was already a gap between us. If we don't work hard, the gap will only grow bigger. Sikong Chiyu said. She didn't want to be a vase. She wanted to be a woman who could fight side by side with Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow entered the area where he used to cultivate. Then he used his movement technique and began to cultivate. After cultivating for a while, Night Sorrow entered the space-time pagoda and directly went to the 60th floor. Sensing Night Sorrow's arrival, Inshi opened her eyes. Looking at Inshi, Night Sorrow felt a little emotional. In the past, Inshi was arrogant and insufferably arrogant. Now that she didn't have such arrogance, she was more pleasing to the eye. She had a different style and a feminine charm. What do you want? You just did it this morning. Are you crazy? Seeing Night Sorrow's gaze, Inshi took 2 steps back. What dirty things are you thinking about? I'm cultivating in the spatial turbulence of the Realm C. I consumed too much energy and came here to recover. Noticing Inshi's beast-like gaze, Night Sorrow said speechlessly. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Inshi heaved a sigh of relief. She was very scared. Although her first time was very short, it still caused a lot of damage to her body. This morning, Night Sorrow's wild impact was not something she could withstand. Will there be any drawbacks of your true chi being unstable if you cultivate quickly? Night Sorrow asked after thinking for a while. There will be, but it will be much faster than normal cultivation. After all, it's recovery, not improvement. She said. Then come with me to the spatial turbulence of the realm C to cultivate. Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. That won't do. If I suppress my cultivation, it won't have the effect of tempering. If I release my cultivation, those bastards will sense it. They will know my aura. She said. Then it's up to you. Night Sorrow said, and then sat down to recover. In the following days, Night Sorrow cultivated in the spatial turbulence. She also cultivated on the 60th floor of the space-time pagoda. Her way of consolidating her cultivation was to cultivate her sword skills. Most %0 knew Chapter J on F. After another cultivation session, Night Sorrow entered the space-time pagoda. He planned to leave the realm C after recovering for a while and eat dragon spirit pills to improve his cultivation. My future can be said to be fighting for you. Can you teach me your body-tempering cultivation method? She looked at Night Sorrow and asked. During this period of time, the two of them got along well. She didn't have too much hostility towards him. The two of them even burned with passion once. You can't cultivate this. You started from a low level. However, I can give you some resources to improve your blood chi. Night Sorrow said, and took out 2 pieces of Ice Spirit Blood Essence. She glanced at Night Sorrow and put away the Ice Spirit Blood Essence. I'll give you the treasures to replenish your blood chi. As for what you do with them, I don't care. Night Sorrow said. Chapter 740. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. Let's provide you with interesting novels to read. You're too shameless. You're still thinking about this? Night Sorrow looked at Shi in surprise. This is also because you've done shameless things. You always act recklessly and don't leave me any blood essence power. Shi looked at Night Sorrow and said angrily, What are you angry about? If I leave it for you, what if you have ulterior motives and make a child? Night Sorrow glared at Shi. I won't do that. I'll refine it. Shi made a promise. Okay, we'll talk about this later. Night Sorrow looked at Shi and said. After recovering, Night Sorrow left the spatial storm area of the Realm C. Night Sorrow came back just in time. The members of the God-slaying team were all resting. Seeing Night Sorrow come back, everyone called Night Sorrow to eat barbecue and drink wine together. Everyone is doing well. Cultivate hard. We don't lack elixirs and resources. If you need them, you can get them from Liyue. Night Sorrow sat beside Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi and shouted to the others. Huh, of course. We don't lack resources. Nan Liyue smiled. It's really good. Everyone is really hard-working. I used to think that my cultivation was crazy. Now, I realize that I'm lacking compared to everyone. Liang Yu said. What you need to improve is your cultivation. When your cultivation reaches a certain level, your cultivation must catch up. Night Sorrow reminded Liang Yu. After eating some barbecue, Night Sorrow returned to his tent. Aoi and the others followed Night Sorrow into the tent. 6th senior sister, 9th senior sister, and Chiyu, don't tire yourself out. Just do enough. Night Sorrow said, You should take care of yourself. No matter how hard we work, we won't be as tired as you. Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow smiled and got up to make tea for the girls. You're really obedient today. Did you do something wrong to us? That shouldn't be the case. You're right under our noses, Yang Lei muttered. Night Sorrow was stunned for a moment. He couldn't help but admire a woman's sensitivity. He did feel a little guilty in his heart, because he also had that kind of thing with Shi, but he didn't expect Yang Lei to have this kind of awareness. Baidu search, AI Go, female sign Xiao, say www.aichuxs.com. 13 must be tired. 9th junior sister, what are you mumbling about? Always said with a smile. After chatting for a while, everyone went to bed. Night Sorrow laid on the bed that Aoi had prepared for him. Night Sorrow pondered. He wondered if he had betrayed his feelings for Yang Lei, Sikong Chuyu, and Aoi because of Shi. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that he hadn't, because he had no choice back then. Even if there was a continuation, it was a physical problem and had nothing to do with feelings. As he pondered, Night Sorrow fell asleep. After sleeping for a night, Night Sorrow felt refreshed when he woke up. After washing his face, Night Sorrow held the Space Splitter Spear and cultivated the spear's concept. As soon as Night Sorrow finished cultivating, Aoi called Night Sorrow over for breakfast. "I had a good sleep last night." Night Sorrow put away the Space Splitter Spear and said as he stretched, "When it's time to rest, you should take a break." Yanglei looked at Night Sorrow and said. Her heart ached when she saw Night Sorrow cultivating with all his might. "It's the same for you guys. Cultivation base isn't something that can be obtained in a day or two," Night Sorrow said while eating. After that, Night Sorrow told him about his plan to go into seclusion and consume the Dragon Spirit Pill. Then, he told them to do it steadily. After seeing that the members of the God-slaying team had gone to cultivate, Night Sorrow went to visit Wu Lingfei again. Only then did he return to his tent and go into seclusion. He wanted to consume the Dragon Spirit Pill and improve his cultivation base as soon as possible. While Night Sorrow was in seclusion, Tianyu was lying in front of the tent. It was also in a state of cultivation. It had already reached the peak of the Void Inquiry stage long ago. It was just that it had yet to break through to the Venerable Realm. On the 10th day of Night Sorrow's seclusion, Tianyu flew to Wu Lingfei's tent and pulled her to the entrance of Night Sorrow's tent. Then it flew away. It asked me to guard Night Sorrow. Could it be that it's going to make a breakthrough? Wu Lingfei was very shocked. After that, she took out the spiritual jade block that Night Sorrow gave her and sat down in front of the entrance of Night Sorrow's tent. On the 20th day, Night Sorrow finished refining the Dragon Spirit Pill and improved his cultivation base to the peak of the second level of the Venerable Realm as he wished. After stabilizing his cultivation base, Night Sorrow went out of the tent. He did not see Tianyu, but saw Wu Lingfei, who was meditating. Night Sorrow was very surprised. The pill has been refined. You have to pay attention to your foundation." Wu Lingfei stood up and kept the spiritual jade block. "Wasn't Tianyu supposed to guard for me? How did it become Annie Fei?" Night Sorrow asked as he led Wu Lingfei into the tent. This fellow might have gone to find a place to advance. When it appears again, it might be a Venerable Realm monster. Wu Lingfei said, "That means that Tianyu is about to transform," Night Sorrow said excitedly. Hearing that Tianyu was about to enter the Venerable Realm, Night Sorrow was very happy. If Night Sorrow's first friend after leaving Bamboo Garden Village was Qin Jun, then his first companion was Tianyu. It's hard to say. It depends on its own decision. Maybe it will transform into a human, or maybe it will maintain the body of a monster. Wu Lingfei said. Yishang nodded. He knew that when demonic beasts cultivated to the honorable realm, some would choose to take human form, while some would not. Take Long Xianxing, for example. He did not take human form. His current human body was an illusion. Just as Night Sorrow was waiting anxiously, a long cry resounded in the sky. Night Sorrow's 3 steps turned into 2 as he rushed out of the tent. He could tell that it was Tianyu's cry. Only G is the official asterisk version. Use G other you all A caret is the stolen F version in the sky above the God-slaying squad's camp. Tianyu was circling back and forth, occasionally using a spatial jump. At this time, Tianyu's spatial jump was very far away. It was equivalent to disappearing into thin air and reappearing in another place. His flying speed was also very fast, leaving afterimages behind him. Tianyu did not transform. Night Sorrow suddenly felt a little disappointed. You don't have to think too much. This is his decision. He must have his own reasons. Wu Lingfei could feel Night Sorrow's disappointment. Night Sorrow nodded and looked at Tianyu, who was soaring in the sky. At this time, Tianyu's aura was shocking. Every time he flew, it was as though he was fighting with the sky. It was a real eagle soaring into the sky. After flying a few rounds, Tianyu used a spatial jump, then dived down and landed in front of Night Sorrow. The Tianyu that landed in front of Night Sorrow was no longer a handsome bird, but a young man in white robes. Night Sorrow looked at this young man and shook his head. He knew that this young man's body was an illusion. Night Sorrow, I am Tianyu. The young man in white robes. Who is Tianyu? Said. Why didn't you choose to transform? Yishan asked, puzzled. You still need him out. I don't want you to not be used to it. This is also good, Tianyu said. Night Sorrow went up and hugged Tianyu. He didn't know that this was the reason Tianyu didn't transform. It was because Night Sorrow still needed him out. Chapter 741. A Genius Remembers Love in 1 Second. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow. Perhaps Tianyu's decision was right. The Azure Rock is a rare beast on the Ancient Beast ranking. It's very talented. Keeping the Azure Rock's body will be beneficial to his future, and his combat strength will also increase. Wu Lingfei opened her mouth and said, That's right, Wu Lingfei said. In order to retain the Azure Rock body, I had to endure 2 lightning tribulations. Thankfully, I have comprehended the phantom body. Otherwise, I would have been in trouble, Tianyu said with a chuckle. $Q update, D new hashtag LMostJ. Hurry up, X9, it's a good thing that you've successfully advanced. Let's drink to celebrate. By the way, you're an adult now, right? Night Sorrow said as he took out a jug of wine. Not yet. My body can still grow. That's why I've kept the Azure Rock body, Tianyu said. The Venerable One is still underage. Haha, Tianyu, your future is limitless, Night Sorrow said happily. It is indeed a good thing. Wu Lingfei was also happy for Tianyu. Night Sorrow, can I call you Brother Shem like Qinzhen? Tianyu asked after taking a sip of wine. Naturally, we've always been brothers who fought side by side, Night Sorrow said with a smile. After drinking the wine, Wu Lingfei left. Night Sorrow's side was going well, so she felt more at ease. After drinking, Tianyu returned to his original form and rushed into the Realm Sea. He planned to cultivate in the spatial turbulence. Looking at Tianyu's figure, Night Sorrow didn't stop him. Tianyu had the space attribute. In the space turbulence, his ability to protect himself should be very strong. After that, Night Sorrow went to the chaotic streams of space in the Realm Sea to cultivate. As they watched Night Sorrow rush into the depths of the Realm Sea, the members of the God-slaying squad cultivated even more vigorously, as they knew that their captain's cultivation base had improved once again. This guy's amazing, Liang Yu said with some emotion. What's wrong with you? Half a month ago, didn't you cultivate up to the one with Heaven Stage? Ling Long asked Liang Yu. I'll go back and break through in a bit. I'm not going to wait any longer. I can't afford to wait any longer. If I keep waiting, who knows how far this captain will run away? Liang Yu roared. Night Sorrow went deeper into the chaotic streams of space within the Realm Sea. Next, he began to temper his defensive barrier of true energy. After cultivating for 2 hours, Night Sorrow switched to his innate bloodline's protective barrier. When the 2 types of energy were almost exhausted, Night Sorrow's figure flashed into the space-time treasure pagoda. Late level 2 Venerable. What kind of cultivation speed is this? Seeing Night Sorrow enter, Yin Shi, who was originally cultivating, stood up. Night Sorrow took the teapot on the tea table in front of Yin Shi and poured himself a cup of water and said, I have the Dragon Spirit Pill, so of course my cultivation speed is not a problem. It's just that it takes time to consolidate my cultivation. Indeed, the Dragon Spirit Pill is a heaven-defying pill. Give me some more, Yin Shi said. Didn't I give you 3? Night Sorrow said with a frown. 3? I refine 1 pill every 2 days and then consolidate it in 7 days. Why do you say 3 pills are not a problem? Yin Shi said. What's your cultivation level now? Night Sorrow asked. I've recovered to level 9 Venerable. Yin Shi glanced at Night Sorrow and said, a high cultivation level is indeed powerful. Here are 20 pills. Use them as you see fit. If I find out that you don't care about your foundation and break the pot, I won't let you off. Night Sorrow took out a pill bottle and threw it to Yin Shi. 20 pills? Where did you get so many? Yin Shi opened the pill bottle and took out the Dragon Spirit Pill. After taking a look, she asked with some surprise, Are the pills refined by me okay? Night Sorrow said angrily. And she didn't have the awareness of a submissive and wanted to ask about everything. At your age, you've cultivated to the venerable realm and are an alchemy grandmaster. You've even been recognized as the master of the pagoda of time and space. This is heaven-defying luck. I shouldn't have provoked you back then. She muttered in a low voice. Instead of saying this to Night Sorrow, it was better to say it to herself. Regret? That night, Night Sorrow drank a mouthful of water and said, "Why do you have the origin energy in your body?" She asked at this time. In the past, she didn't have close contact with Night Sorrow and didn't pay much attention to observing him, so she didn't notice anything. However, after 2 skin-to-skin contact, she discovered it. Anyway, you're a grasshopper in my palm and can't jump out. It's okay to tell you. I have the sovereign attribute, Heavenly Fate Jewel. I also have the sovereign attribute. It's just that I usually hide it with the black jade spiritual energy. Night Sorrow said, "Sovereign attribute?" She looked at Night Sorrow from head to toe. After that, Night Sorrow activated his void chi without hiding it. A light purple protective chi circulated around Night Sorrow's body. It was very beautiful. She took 2 steps back, and her expression changed. This is the void attribute. No wonder my soul power couldn't block your soul power attack. I guess your soul power is also of the void attribute. Yes, it is. Night Sorrow nodded. Ji Yu Hao said that his time sword chi couldn't cut your body. With the sovereign attribute protecting you, of course, his time sword chi couldn't hurt you. Shi said, "No, at that time, my void chi wasn't as strong as it is now. The reason why his time sword chi couldn't hurt me was that my body was very strong. In addition, I have other high-level elemental energies that can restrain his time sword chi." Night Sorrow didn't hide anything from Shi, who had completely controlled him. There are elemental energies that can restrain the time sword chi. Shi stared at Night Sorrow. Then take a look at this. Night Sorrow activated the Myriad Tao, Tome's energy, and performed the Desolation's Hand. After performing the Desolation's Hand, Night Sorrow's hand appeared. The scene changed quickly, with the merciless changes of time in the middle. Is this also the time sword chi? Shi's eyes were filled with fear. The power that Night Sorrow had displayed was too terrifying. It is the desolation power of the time sword chi. To be exact, it is the time sword chi. Ji Yu Hao's time sword chi can slow down time, while my time sword chi can speed up time. We can control each other. After Night Sorrow withdrew the Desolation's hand, he sat down cross-legged and began to recover. Night Sorrow didn't want to show off in front of Shi. He just wanted to shock her and make her submit to him. In fact, Shi was really shocked. The talented Su Mu, the time sword chi, Ji Yu Hao, she knew that these people were nothing in front of Night Sorrow. Even if her cultivation was higher than Night Sorrow's, so what? Night Sorrow had the power to fight against people with higher cultivation. If he didn't have the power, he wouldn't have been able to turn the tables. After an hour, Night Sorrow had recovered to his peak state. He planned to go back to the space turbulence to continue his cultivation. Night Sorrow, can you be nicer to me? She looked at Night Sorrow and asked, "As long as you are obedient, I can be nicer to you. What's the matter?" Night Sorrow asked. Chapter 742. Genius 1. Second, remember love, divided by little. I will provide you with wonderful novels to read. Well, it's not appropriate for me to take it for free. I'll give you some top-grade spirit stones, but you should wait until you become a saint. At that time, the effect of the dragon spirit pill will not be great. Love, go little say. True Night Sorrow took out 10 top-grade spirit stones and handed them to Shi. Although Shi had been subdued and was no different from Maid, Night Sorrow did not want to exploit her. Sometimes, a man had to be responsible. As for the Holy Spirit Stone, Night Sorrow would not take it out. He had prepared it for himself in the future, and it was not a resource that could be exchanged casually. Besides, 1 Holy Spirit Stone could be exchanged for 100 top-grade Spirit Stones. At present, There was no resource that could be equal to the Holy Spirit stone. So much. Inchi was stunned. Well, take it. If you don't replenish your strength, when I need your help one day, you will be killed. Then, I will have wasted my energy to deal with you and wasted my resources to help you recover, Night Sorrow said. Kill me? Long Xiansheng and Xialan Jun have cultivated longer than me. Otherwise, I would be afraid of them, Inchi muttered. Love go little say, Chu well be humble. Night Sorrow said, if I hadn't met a shameless person like you, would I have gone mad and capsized? Inchi was very conflicted when it came to this issue. You don't have such a big mouth. If you can't eat such a big thing, who can you blame? Night Sorrow said and left the time-space pagoda. He entered the space turbulence and began to cultivate. After Yishang left, Inchi had no target to scold, even if she wanted to. Of course, she knew what Yishang meant. She really couldn't bear Yishang's greatness, but it wouldn't be nice to say it. In the space turbulence, Night Sorrow practiced his movement technique and also sharpened his newly improved True Qi. If sharpening the Qi shield was to increase the density of True Qi, then using the spear to fight with the space turbulence was to cultivate the degree of control of True Qi. 2 hours later, Night Sorrow returned to the space-time pagoda. Can I have a cup of hot tea? Night Sorrow asked as he took out a jade stool and sat down. Look at D version of chapter HF on after hesitating for a while. Inchi still did it. Night Sorrow, I have something to say. That day, if it wasn't for my sudden problem, did you have other methods? Inchi looked at Night Sorrow and asked. She knew that what happened that day was an accident, and now she understood that Night Sorrow must have other trump cards. That day, you acted a little too early and messed up my plan. If you had acted a little later, I would have broken the seal on my primary energy. Then, I would have used the Night Moon Dynasty's innate skill, Spatial Rend, to tear apart space and escape. In truth, I was just a little bit late, but the result would have been completely different, Night Sorrow said. In other words, if I hadn't acted that day and was a little late, you would have used Spatial Rend to escape? Inchi asked. Yes, so you were a little unlucky. But it's over, so don't think about it anymore. Since fate is like this, then cherish the future, Night Sorrow said. Maybe you're right. Inchi nodded. Night Sorrow drank a cup of tea and meditated to recover his cultivation. After recovering for a while, Night Sorrow continued to cultivate in the space turbulence. Don't be confused. Night Sorrow has such achievements at his age. It's not a coincidence. He worked hard enough. The harder he works, the luckier he gets, Shao Kong said. Shao Kong didn't have the ability to speak in other places, but she could in the space-time pagoda. Inchi nodded and meditated to cultivate. This was the benefit of having a high state of mind. Many things could be understood by thinking about it. Now that things had come to this, Inchi knew that it was useless to resist. She might as well make some achievements in her cultivation and live a better life on the current premise. Inchi was also glad that Night Sorrow had a big heart. Even though he had subdued her, he didn't make things too difficult for her. After cultivating again, Inchi spoke when she was about to recover. I've refined your ice spirit blood essence. I still need to improve my chi and blood power. Baidu search AI Go Xiao Shop www.aichux.com. Are you eating resources? Can I afford to raise them? Yishan said with some surprise. Don't you have ready-made ones? Give them to me now. Inchi's face was a little red. You have a bottom line. I don't have any more ice spirit blood essence, but I have better ones. Take it easy. Night Sorrow took out 2 black tortoise crystals. If I cultivate like this, won't I be your fighter in the future? Inchi took the black tortoise crystals and said, What did you say just now? You want mine? Then I'll give it to you. Little Kong, you hide. Night Sorrow was also a little tired from cultivating. He was a little angry when he heard Inchi's words. Little Kong was very obedient. He left immediately and went to the other layers. This time, Inchi was very cooperative. Plus, she was already used to it, so she was very crazy. Remember, this is for you to improve your cultivation. If you dare to scheme against me, I won't tolerate it. No matter what the situation is, I won't tolerate it. Night Sorrow said to Inchi after he tidied up his robe. Looking at Night Sorrow's eyes, Inshi nodded. She knew that Night Sorrow was serious. There were some bottom lines that a man couldn't cross. Yishang was meditating to recover. Inshi also put on her silk dress and went to cultivate. She was refining Yishang's yang qi according to the cultivation method that she had tricked her into. She was using it to strengthen her own qi, blood, and essence qi. After recovering, Night Sorrow continued to cultivate in the spatial turbulence. He knew that Inshi's matter was still troublesome, so he could only keep it hidden. Once Inshi showed up, Sikong Chuyu, Aoi, and Yang Lei would definitely be angry. Yang Lei would definitely be furious. After cultivating for half a month, Night Sorrow realized that something was wrong. The spatial turbulence became violent. This situation made Night Sorrow retreat. He wanted to train himself, but he wasn't going to play with his life. While retreating, Night Sorrow discovered a special situation. There were loach-like creatures in the spatial turbulence. These creatures were very fast, and there were many of them. One of them was even rushing towards Night Sorrow. Unable to see the creature's cultivation, Night Sorrow waved his space-splitting spear and attacked. The creature was sent flying by Night Sorrow's spear. However, it was fine. With a shake of its body, it rushed towards Yi Shiwen's head again. Slash! There wasn't enough time to attack again. Night Sorrow executed the soul-destroying slash and directly slashed at the pitch-black loach creature. This pitch-black creature was hit by Night Sorrow's soul-destroying slash. It twitched for a while and then stopped moving. Night Sorrow grabbed the body of this pitch-black creature with his left hand and retreated outside. This was because many such creatures had appeared at this time. Night Sorrow used his spatial energy shield to rush outside at his fastest speed. These pitch-black creatures started to chase after him at an extremely fast speed. They weren't afraid of the spatial turbulence at all. Retreat. Everyone retreat quickly. Hurry to the shore. Night Sorrow shouted when he was not far away from the members of the god-slaying team. Then, he turned around and attacked with his spear. He couldn't bring danger to the members of the god-slaying team. Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear couldn't kill these creatures. It could only send them flying. At this time, he executed his fastest spear technique because there were too many dark creatures. Chapter 743. Genius remembers love in 1 second / small. I'll provide you with some wonderful novels to read. After using Spatial Rend, Night Sorrow's figure flashed into it. At the same time, he waved his arm and closed the spatial tunnel. Then, he controlled his body to travel through the turbulence. 10 miles, 20 miles. When he was 20 miles away, Night Sorrow sensed that he was out of the turbulent space. He used Spatial Rend again and walked out of the spatial rift. Then, his figure flashed a few times and arrived at the edge of the realm sea. "Captain, what are you doing?" Liang Yu asked in astonishment when he saw Night Sorrow appear out of thin air. He didn't understand. "Let's talk about this later. From today onwards, without my orders, no one is allowed to take half a step into the realm sea. Xueling, Ho Jian, when you see the team return, stay in the camp and cultivate." Night Sorrow gave the order to Liang Yu. It wasn't that Night Sorrow was nervous. He knew that this black loach was too terrifying. He knew how powerful his spear attack was. Even so, he couldn't kill it. Anyone else who encountered it would be dead. Night Sorrow went to Wu Lingfei's tent. "Aunt Fei, what kind of creature is this?" Night Sorrow took out the corpse of the black creature he killed with soul-extinguishing slash. "It's in the turbulent space of the realm sea. There are too many of them. If I didn't run quickly, I would have been surrounded. This creature isn't afraid of my spear attack." Night Sorrow said, "This is serious. Let's go find Long Xianxing." Wu Lingfei said. Then, Wu Lingfei brought Night Sorrow to the Eastern Xian region's camp. Looking at the black creature's corpse, Long Xianxing nodded. "It's a spatial soul-eater beast. Now, our people can no longer enter the turbulent space of the realm sea to cultivate. It's very difficult to kill them." Following Long Xuanxing's explanation, Night Sorrow learned what a spatial soul-eater beast was. The spatial soul-devouring beast was a creature that lived in the spatial turbulence. Their defense was extremely strong, and it was difficult for swords to injure them. Their speed was extremely fast, and they could almost ignore the defense of chi shields. They were good at shuttling through the spatial turbulence, so breaking through a cultivator's chi shield was not difficult. The spatial soul-eater beast loved to devour the soul energy of creatures and was most afraid of soul energy attacks. This was also the reason why Night Sorrow could kill it, but it was very difficult for others to do so. This should be the space soul-devouring beast that was suppressed in the space below the Clear Sky City. The Clear Sky City has been rising, so the space soul-devouring beast below has appeared. This has increased the difficulty of entering the Clear Sky City. Long Xinsheng said, "That's right. Even venerables can't face the encirclement of the soul-eater beasts," Wu Lingfei said. Does that mean that no one below the Saint stage can get close to Haoyan City? Night Sorrow asked in surprise. That's not it. The space soul-eater beast likes to live in the turbulent space. Once the energy around Haoyan City dissipates, they will naturally leave. Long Xinsheng said, "That's good." Night Sorrow breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't want to lose the opportunity to explore the Clear Sky City. Hurry up and get on J. Don't go to the domain C to cultivate for the time being. Go back. Do what you need to do. When the Clear Sky City appears, I will send someone to inform you. Long Xinsheng looked at Night Sorrow and said, "All right, then I will take them back first." Night Sorrow nodded. Then Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei left the camp of the Eastern Profound Domain. Looking at Night Sorrow, Wu Lingfei said, "Then I will send you back to the city in the sky. You also need a rest. Ani Fei, you do what you need to do. I will be fine. Inchi will not touch me again. I don't care about the others. I am not afraid of anyone who wants to fight." Night Sorrow said, "But Ani Fei is still worried." Wu Lingfei said, "Ani Fei, I enjoy your protection, but I am not young anymore. You can rest assured." Night Sorrow said, "That's fine. Inchi won't touch you, but you still have to be careful. There are still remnants of the Windy Dynasty. You're famous now, and all the cultivators of the Nine Realms know about you. They all know that if they defeat or kill you, they'll get fate. That's the source of all the trouble," said Wu Lingfei to Yishan. "I will be careful," Night Sorrow said with a smile. "You also have to be careful of the Jiyu family. We have received news that Jiyu Fenglan has entered the Saint Realm. He is a space saint and has strong combat power. You have a grudge against the Jiyu family. They will not let you grow. This bastard is really malicious." Night Sorrow cursed. The Jiyu family is an old family. They still have their own luck and won't fall so easily. Also, the Seven-Star Saint has also appeared. He is not on the same side as us. The Seven-Star Dynasty will still make a move. Wu Lingfei told them about the recent developments of the 9 regions. The world is really chaotic. Night Sorrow rubbed his hair and said, "Yes, the 9 regions world is very complicated. Some hidden cultivators will come out because this is a time of chaos and great battles," said Wu Lingfei. "There are many saints? Didn't they say that without source stones and saint crystals, it is impossible to comprehend the power of laws?" Night Sorrow asked in puzzlement. "Think about it. Didn't the Sea Hard Island in the Northern Sea region display the power of laws? When we went to the Death Domain, did the Heaven Vault display the power of laws? Some peak paragons would have a chance to enter the Saint Realm if they found such a place. This is also the reason why Yin Tianlong wanted to seize the Sea Hard Island. That is a place that can create saints." Wu Lingfei explained to Night Sorrow. Wu Lingfei was usually a person of few words, but when she was with Night Sorrow, she was very patient. As long as there was something Night Sorrow didn't understand, she would explain it in detail. "I understand. With the appearance of Clear Sky City, some hidden experts will jump out." Night Sorrow said, "Yes. Also, ordinary powers wouldn't be able to nurture a peak paragon. In other words, the saints who can cultivate in special environments are all the ancestors of the various powers. Among them, There might be people from the various dynasties who are a match for the Night Moon dynasty. Wu Lingfei explained to Night Sorrow. I understand. I will be careful. Aunt Fei, thank you. Night Sorrow bowed to Wu Lingfei. There's no need to be so polite with Aunt Fei. If there's anything, just tell Aunt Fei. You're the closest person to Aunt Fei in this world. Wu Lingfei said to Night Sorrow. After that, Night Sorrow left. He really wanted to tell Wu Lingfei about Shi, but he was worried that Wu Lingfei wouldn't forgive him, because this matter was a little too shameless and went overboard. After walking for a distance, Night Sorrow stopped. Night Sorrow, don't tell me you intend to tell Wu Lingfei about this matter. Shi spoke. Chapter 744. Genius remembers love in 1 second / small. We provide you with interesting novels to read. She was a smart person. She noticed Night Sorrow's hesitation and knew what Night Sorrow was thinking. Night Sorrow went to the forest beside the campsite and entered the space-time pagoda in a flash. Shi, I didn't lie to anyone and I don't want to hide anything from my Auntie Fei. She is very worried that you will do something bad to me. However, I didn't say anything even though I knew you wouldn't do anything to me. This makes me feel very guilty. Night Sorrow looked at Shi and said, I beg you, can you leave me some dignity? Shi's eyes were pleading. Shi, the people around me will know about this sooner or later. Night Sorrow looked at Shi and said, then let's take it one step at a time. Shi also understood this logic. All right, work hard on your cultivation. Night Sorrow thought for a while and nodded. Shi was very honest now. He didn't want to embarrass Shi too much and cause her to have a rebellious mentality. After that, Night Sorrow came out of the forest and led the members of the god-slaying team onto the airship and rushed towards High City. Leader, I don't understand. Why didn't you let us enter the spatial turbulence to cultivate? Yin Huang asked. There are great terrors there. I almost got into trouble. Night Sorrow then told them about his encounter with the spatial Soul Eater beasts. Leader's spear attack is ineffective. Ling Long looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. It's not that it's ineffective. It's just that it can push them back and send them flying. It can't kill them. They're only afraid of soul attacks. If you're surrounded by those Soul Eater beasts, you should know the result. Night Sorrow said. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, the others fell into deep thought. If even Night Sorrow couldn't withstand it, they would die if they went in. Everyone has gained a lot during this period of time. Even if we can't go in again, we should be content. Night Sorrow said. The others nodded. During this period of time, everyone had made great progress. Not only had their cultivation improved a lot, but it was also very solid. Soon, the group returned to Sky City. When the girls saw Papa Goo, they were stunned. Night Sorrow was also shocked. He had forgotten to discuss with Papa Goo that he should hide the fact that he had been kidnapped. Hee, what are you all standing there for? Take a seat. Old Man Goo said. Night Sorrow shook his head at Daddy Goo. He hoped that Daddy Goo would understand what he meant. Old Mr. Goo smiled and instantly understood what Night Sorrow meant. During the chat, he had said that he had come because he missed everyone. Night Sorrow let out a sigh of relief. He really didn't want the girls to worry. If Sikong Chiyu, Yang Lei, and Apoy knew about it, they would be very worried. Yang Lei was about to curse again. Dinner was a family banquet. Night Sorrow called for Tianyu, who had transformed into a human form. Everyone ate together and drank some wine. Then, Night Sorrow said that he would bring Papa Goo around Sky City and left the mansion alone with Papa Goo. Thank you, Papa, for hiding it from me, Night Sorrow said after leaving the mansion. You were also afraid that they would be worried. What you did was right. When something happens, men have to shoulder it. But don't tire yourself too much. You will be husband and wife in the future. There's nothing that can't be said. Papa Goo said. Then, Night Sorrow and Yi Ling Lan also said that they had to hide this matter. Then, they accompanied Papa Goo around Sky City before returning to the mansion. Night Sorrow gave Papa Goo a few bottles of top-grade, low-grade elixirs. Papa Goo also returned to the attic that the servants had arranged for him. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow went to the lakeside. At this moment, Tianyu, who had drunk some wine, was lying on the ground and cultivating. He could transform into a human, but his cultivation speed was very fast. Night Sorrow took out his extra storage ring and handed it to Tianyu, who was standing beside him in human form. Then he took out the dragon spirit pill and told Tianyu about the dragon spirit pill. Then he took out a bottle of life spirit liquid and origin spirit liquid and explained how to use it. Thank you, 13th brother. Tianyu nodded at Night Sorrow. You have the spatial attribute. I have a spatial crystal here. Take it and cultivate. Night Sorrow took out 2 spatial crystals. I don't need this. My spatial attribute can be strengthened and improved. 13th brother, you don't have to worry about me. Tianyu said. Night Sorrow nodded and let Tianyu cultivate. He went to the wooden boat and brewed a pot of tea. After drinking a pot of tea, he returned to the mansion. You're back. Did you feel more relaxed after walking around? Yang Lei asked Night Sorrow. Yes, much more relaxed. Where's 6th senior sister? Night Sorrow asked when he didn't see Aoi. Unspecified currency on the latest chapter Y section. 6th senior sister is cultivating very hard. She went back the moment you and old man Gu went out. She's probably cultivating. Yang Lei said. Sigh. This is because of me. Night Sorrow sighed. Aoi wasn't like this in the past. 13th brother, people have to change. There's nothing wrong with changing your lifestyle. Not to mention other things, a higher cultivation level means a longer lifespan, Yang Lei said. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that cultivators were fighting against the heavens. There was nothing wrong with cultivating hard. After drinking a pot of tea, Night Sorrow smiled. Are we going to rest too? Yang Lei and Sikong Chiyu ignored Night Sorrow and walked to the bedroom hand in hand. Night Sorrow followed them in. They hadn't been together for a long time. It was inevitable that there would be a fire burning. Chiyu, do you feel it? 13th brother has become much more violent. He's not as gentle as before, Yang Lei said as she leaned on the bed. That's right. I can't take it anymore. He almost broke my leg, Sikong Chiyu said with a red face. Night Sorrow smiled embarrassedly. He had been very repressed recently. When he was with Yin Shi, he didn't restrain himself, so he was used to it. Then the 3 of them chatted for a while and sat down to cultivate. Yishan was also at the stage of stabilizing his cultivation. Not only his vital energy, but his cultivation of the Myriad Dao Tome had also reached the peak of the Dao querying realm after this period of cultivation. He was also in a stable state. Once he had accumulated enough, Yishan would break through to the Venerable Realm, which was the Myriad Dao Tome's spirit refinement realm. After cultivating for a night, Night Sorrow woke up early to cultivate his spear art and intent realm. After breakfast, the 3 of them went to the martial arts arena. The main thing was to keep pace with the group. Night Sorrow went to the lake and cultivated his spear art. He improved his compatibility with the Space Splitter Spear and his true chi control. As for the Myriad Dao Tome's advancement, Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry. He just wanted to let nature take its course. After cultivating his spear art for a while, Night Sorrow started to cultivate the Space Splitter. When he encountered the space-devouring beast in the Realm Sea, Night Sorrow used the Space Splitter in an emergency. Now, he was going to officially succeed in cultivating the Space Splitter. Chapter 745. Genius remembers love in 1 second/small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow's 5 bloodline energy points were already saturated with spatial energy. Now, he was charging towards the 6th bloodline energy point. In other words, the amount of bloodline energy points he had was the same as some of Night Moon's emperors. As Night Sorrow used the space crack, a black crack appeared in the space in front of him. Then, Night Sorrow used the honorable realm and entered the space turbulence with a wave of his left hand. In the space that was torn apart, the space turbulence was very violent. It was similar to the place where Night Sorrow encountered the golden-furred beast's corpse. He could only control his protective shield and quickly dodge forward. At the same time, he released his soul power to investigate. As soon as his soul power erupted, Night Sorrow realized that he could still sense the situation outside. In other words, his soul power could penetrate the space barrier and know the situation outside. After moving forward for dozens of miles, Night Sorrow reached his limit. The violent energy here consumed a lot of his true chi and bloodline energy points. Then, Night Sorrow used the space crack again and came out of the space. Exhaling, Night Sorrow flew back to the wooden boat and entered the space-time pagoda. Seeing Night Sorrow come in, Shi, who was meditating, stood up. Night Sorrow glanced at Shi and nodded. Then he took out the spiritual jade stone stool and began to meditate to recover. Entering the space turbulence this time had consumed a lot of his energy. After recovering for an hour, Yishang recovered to his peak state and stood up. What happened? Why did you consume so much energy? Inshi asked, puzzled. Cultivating the space crack. Inshi spoke nicely. Night Sorrow did not refuse to answer. Night Sorrow, I still want to improve my body's strength and vitality. Then, I won't have to worry about using the wind elemental escape technique in the future. Inshi said, whenever a woman talks, I know it's nothing good. Here, take a few more black tortoise spirit crystals. Night Sorrow took out 3 black tortoise spirit crystals and threw them to Inshi. Inshi nodded and took it. In fact, Night Sorrow's yang chi was more effective than the black tortoise spirit crystal to her. But she couldn't say, Night Sorrow, come and press me down. Although she was a little unscrupulous, a woman's face was still important. Next, Night Sorrow continued to cultivate the spatial crack. As he traveled through the turbulent space, he also cultivated his spear arts. He fought against the violent energy in the turbulent space to increase his speed. As he cultivated, Night Sorrow was able to travel further and further through the turbulent streams of space. However, as he cultivated, Night Sorrow felt exhausted again and again. Inshi, who was cultivating in the space-time pagoda, was convinced when she saw Night Sorrow recover and go out again and again. She had never seen anyone so hard-working during cultivation. Night Sorrow could also recover with the space-time pagoda in his body. However, it wasn't as fast as Night Sorrow's recovery in the space-time pagoda. The difference between recovery and natural cultivation was quite big. After cultivating until evening, Yishang returned to his mansion. Dinner was already prepared in the mansion. Night Sorrow, you have to spend more time with her. Don't just cultivate all day. Papa Goo complained to Night Sorrow. Hee, I'll pay attention. Night Sorrow laughed. Then, Night Sorrow inquired about the situation of the girls. Now, we won't be cultivating in combat anymore. Everyone's combat training is more or less the same. In addition, everyone's cultivation base has stabilized enough. So, each of you should cultivate your own foundation. Today, we will be cultivating in the mansion, Qing Ji said. I see, but don't work too hard, Night Sorrow said as he ate. After eating, Papa Goo returned to his room. He was also working hard on his cultivation. Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu smiled at Night Sorrow and Aoi before leaving. 6th senior sister, do you like the life here? Why don't I take some time to accompany you to the Medicine Valley? Night Sorrow looked at Aoi and asked, That's good. I just feel a little guilty toward my disciples. As a master, I haven't done my duty, Aoi said. How about this? We'll go back with 9th senior sister another day and bring all your disciples here. Fortunately, there aren't many of them. We can still set up a martial arts arena here, Night Sorrow said. 13th junior brother, your intentions are good, but they are disciples of the Medicine Valley. It's normal for them to live in the Medicine Valley. They shouldn't come to the city in the sky. Aoi shook her head and said. She didn't want to cause trouble for Night Sorrow. Then I'll listen to 6th senior sister's decision. However, our Taishin Peak doesn't lack resources. We can go back and take a look when we have time, Night Sorrow said. He knew that Aoi still couldn't bear to part with them. That's true. Our Taishin Peak has a Night Sorrow. Ots looked at Night Sorrow and said with pride in her eyes. Don't say that, 6th senior sister. I'm just doing what I should do, Night Sorrow said. After chatting for a while, Night Sorrow sent Aoi to the attic where she lived. When they arrived at the door of the attic, Night Sorrow didn't know if he should go in or not. After hesitating for a moment, Night Sorrow said, "Sixth senior sister, can I go in?" "Yes. If you don't go in, I don't know what your ninth senior sister will say to you tomorrow morning," Aoi said in a low voice. After entering Aoi's room and sitting down, Night Sorrow didn't know what to say. He was a little nervous. 13th junior brother, why are you nervous? You're someone who looks down on everyone, Aoi said with a smile. She could see that Night Sorrow was nervous. I'm just a little nervous, Night Sorrow said embarrassedly. 13, we're engaged. I won't beat around the bush. Do you like sixth senior sister, or do you only respect her? Aoi pulled a chair and sat beside Night Sorrow. Yishang turned his head to look at Qingji. In my heart, sixth senior sister will always be respected. All this time, even if I liked her, I didn't dare to express it because I was afraid that I would disrespect that respect, Yishang said. So you like sixth senior sister, right? Aoi asked with a red face. Yes, I like her a lot, Night Sorrow nodded. Carrot 9, first senior sister. That's great. Shall we decorate the room tonight? Aoi stood up and said. Then, Aoi lit 2 red candles and took out a red ribbon from her storage ring. She pulled it a few times in the room and made a red ribbon flower in the middle. Sixth senior sister, it's been hard on you. Seeing that Qingji was done with the red silk, Yishang held her hand and said, Don't worry about it. Actually, sixth senior sister likes 13th junior brother a lot. When 13th junior brother was young, we were siblings. Now that 13th junior brother has grown up, things have changed, Aoi said in a low voice. Her face was blushing under the candlelight. Sixth senior sister, you're so beautiful today, Night Sorrow said as he held Aoi's hand. Chapter 746. Genius 1, Second Remember Love, Go/Little. I'll provide you with interesting novels to read. Night Sorrow would be a fool if he didn't understand. He gently embraced Aoi and kissed her. Aoi hugged Night Sorrow's waist and kissed Aoi's red lips. She responded to Night Sorrow. After a while, Night Sorrow let go of Aoi. He was a little absent-minded as he looked at Aoi under the candlelight. He had never looked at her so seriously before. Aoi was very beautiful, gentle, and elegant. She was the same type as Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. Stop looking. Let's rest. Aoi was embarrassed by Night Sorrow's gaze. After that, the two of them sat by the bed hand in hand. Qingji looked at Yishang and got up to take off Yishang's outer robe and hang it properly. She took off her own outer skirt and pulled down the curtains by the bed. Night Sorrow bent down and carried Aoi to the inside of the bed. He lay down on the outside and hugged Aoi, who had taken off her skirt and was only wearing her tights. Aoi leaned her head against Night Sorrow's chest. Although she was older than Night Sorrow, she had never experienced something like this before. She was nervous. Sixth senior sister, can you do it? Night Sorrow whispered into Aoi's ear. Yes, I have to do it even if I can't. We don't have to be together sooner or later, Aoi said. Night Sorrow sat up and gently took off Aoi's tights. Aoi pulled the blanket and covered herself with it. Night Sorrow then took off his robe and got under the blanket. Night Sorrow felt different when he hugged Aoi again. Feeling Aoi's smooth body, Night Sorrow had a reaction. Night Sorrow flipped over and lay on top of Aoi. Aoi murmured in Night Sorrow's ear, Take pity on sixth senior sister. Night Sorrow nodded and gently separated from Aoi's beautiful legs. Red candle tears, brocade tint, eroding tenderness. After an hour, Night Sorrow stopped. Although he wasn't done, Aoi couldn't take it. 13 junior brother, I'm sorry, Aoi said softly as she rested her head on Night Sorrow's arm. She had seen the harmony technique and knew what it was like between a man and a woman. Of course, she knew that Night Sorrow was taking pity on her. It's nothing. I'm very happy because I truly have sixth senior sister, Night Sorrow said as he caressed Aoi's hair. Yes, I'm very happy too. Let's rest then. I'm a bit tired, Aoi said. Okay. Night Sorrow hugged Aoi and rested. After resting for a night, Night Sorrow and Aoi woke up early. After taking a shower, the two went to the courtyard. Night Sorrow practiced his spear art while Aoi watched from the side. Sixth senior sister, Hihi, are you in pain and happiness? Yanglei came to Aoi's side. You're not saying anything. Aoi blushed and glared at Yanglei. Then I won't say anything. I won't say anything. Yanglei smiled and shook her head. After eating breakfast, the three women cultivated in the mansion. Night Sorrow went to the lakeside and chatted with Tianyu for a while before starting to cultivate the spatial split. To Night Sorrow, cultivating the spatial split was no different from cultivating in the chaotic streams of space in the Realm Sea. It strengthened him in all aspects. After exhausting himself, Night Sorrow returned to the space-time treasure pagoda and began to recover. On his third recovery, Night Sorrow nodded to Inshi and said, "Make a pot of hot tea. Don't you feel tired?" Inshi asked while making tea. "It's very tiring, but it's worth it. I want it." Night Sorrow looked at Inshi and said, "Last night, when he was with Aoi, he wanted to take care of her, so he held back his fire." Looking at Inshi's seductive body and wild silver hair, Night Sorrow had a reaction. Inshi looked at Night Sorrow, then turned her head and untied her skirt. Night Sorrow pulled Inshi and began to whip her wildly. This lasted for 2 hours. After finishing, Inshi's body went limp on the praying mat. "You're too cruel. Are you also like this when you're with your woman?" "No." Night Sorrow sat down and began to recover. He didn't want to talk about this topic anymore because he felt it was unfair to Inshi. Inshi didn't say anything. She sat up and began to cultivate. Night Sorrow gave her the essence that she needed the most. After recovering, Night Sorrow came out of the space-time pagoda and continued to cultivate the space-time crack. He wanted to increase the distance he could travel in space. This way, even if there were opponents he couldn't defeat, he would have a way to protect himself. Entering the space-time pagoda again, Night Sorrow looked at Inshi, who had finished cultivating and was full of energy again. He said, "Your soul power has condensed into a soul pearl. How far can you detect when you're at your peak?" "If I detect carefully, I can detect the energy fluctuations within a radius of 50 miles. I can't detect any further than that," Inshi said. Night Sorrow nodded. He could only travel within a radius of 50 miles. This meant that if the opponent wasn't a high-level saint, it would be difficult for the opponent to catch him when he used the space-time crack. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that he had to continue to improve in this aspect. When it was evening, Night Sorrow realized that his cultivation of the Myriad Tao Tome had reached a bottleneck. This meant that if he didn't level up and advance to the God Refinement realm, he wouldn't be able to level it up anymore. Night Sorrow planned to make a stable breakthrough. During this period of time, he didn't use any resources to cultivate the Myriad Tao Tome. He cultivated it naturally, so there wouldn't be any drawbacks of an unstable foundation. Looking at the sky, Night Sorrow returned to the mansion. When Night Sorrow returned to the mansion, the servants had already prepared dinner. Night Sorrow pondered as he ate. When he advanced to the honorable realm last time, there were 3 lightning tribulations. He didn't know if there would be lightning tribulations when he advanced to the Myriad Tao Tome. However, Night Sorrow felt that his genuine chi cultivation was much stronger than before. He also had a high-grade spiritual weapon. Even if there were lightning tribulations, he wouldn't be as miserable as before. "What are you thinking about? Why are you spacing out when you're eating?" Yanglei looked at Night Sorrow and said, "My physique cultivation is about to advance. I don't know if there will be lightning tribulations." Night Sorrow said with a smile, "Advance in physique cultivation? What level is it?" Sikongchi looked at Night Sorrow and asked, "Spirit Refinement Realm. It's equivalent to the honorable realm of genuine chi cultivation." Night Sorrow said, "You can cultivate your body to the 6th level. You're ruthless. Last time, you didn't expect lightning tribulations. This time, you have to be more prepared." Yanglei said, "I understand. I'll be careful." Night Sorrow nodded. He had been thinking about this. He had to be prepared. Last time, because he wasn't prepared, something big had almost happened. equals latest plus backslash latest plus backslash fastest plus backslash fastest. After cultivating for another night, Night Sorrow decided to advance. Because the Myriad Tao Tome's cultivation was already very smooth, there was no point in settling down. In addition, he was looking forward to what kind of increase in combat power would be after he entered the Spirit Refinement Realm. This time, Night Sorrow didn't enter the secret cultivation room. Instead, he went directly to the lake. The other women also came along. They were all worried. Chapter 747. Genius 1, Second Remember Love Divided by Shao. We will provide you with interesting novels to read. The girls nodded. They understood that if there was a lightning tribulation, they wouldn't be able to help. The lightning tribulation was a trial and test from the heavens. It was targeted at the tribulation taker. If others dared to intervene, they would be attacked by the lightning tribulation and wouldn't be able to help the tribulation taker. They followed him to guard Night Sorrow, so that he wouldn't be disturbed by Night Sorrow. Yishang took out the spirit jade stool, sat on it, and began to cultivate. Night Sorrow first stabilized his emotions. Then, he used all his strength to circulate the Myriad Tao Tome's energy. Night Sorrow wanted to gather all the energy of the Myriad Tao Tome together. There wouldn't be any gaps or barriers. In other words, there wouldn't be any gaps between the energy of the flesh and the energy of the bones. This meant that the blood vessels and fascia in the body would be turned into energy. This way, the energy of the Myriad Tao Tome would explode faster and faster. Love, go little say W. True Night Sorrow didn't need to force himself to break through to the Tao querying realm with the Myriad Tao Tome. He just needed to cultivate diligently. The cultivation of the Myriad Tao Tome would naturally strengthen his body and level up. As the energy of Night Sorrow's Myriad Tao Tome circulated quickly, Night Sorrow's body slowly changed. The essence chi above his head also slowly rose. When his body reaches the supremacy realm, 13 can fight against supremacies without using his true chi, Yang Lei said. He put in a lot more effort than others to cultivate his body. Sikong Chiyu exhaled and said. As time passed, Night Sorrow's aura became stronger and stronger. The process of leveling up was slowly advancing. Tianyu stopped cultivating and came to the girl's side. The only one who is correct, M version K. The others are all D pirated versions. Yang Lei then explained the situation to Tianyu. She was worried that Tianyu didn't understand the situation and would cause trouble. Time slipped away bit by bit. Night Sorrow was like an old monk in meditation. Baidu search, AI go, female sign Shao, say www.ai2xs. Coma day passed, and Night Sorrow's Myriad Tao Tome was still in the state of strengthening his body. Will it be okay to break through at night? Yang Lei was a little worried. No problem. I wonder if I can complete the breakthrough tonight. Sikong Chuyu said. Sikong Chuyu was right. After one night, Night Sorrow still did not complete his breakthrough. Now, he was cultivating naturally, allowing the cultivation of the Myriad Tao Treasure Tome to strengthen his body and naturally break through. On the afternoon of the second day, the energy of the Myriad Tao Tome in Night Sorrow's body had completely merged into one. It was no longer separated by the energy in his flesh, bones, and organs. It was as if Night Sorrow's body was a single vessel that contained the energy of the Myriad Tao Tome. Baidu search, AI go, female sign, Shao, say www.ai2xs. Silum essence, chi smoke, signal soared into the sky. The moment Night Sorrow completed his breakthrough, the essence chi smoke signal above Night Sorrow's head soared into the sky and reached a height of more than 10 zhang. At this moment, rolling dark clouds appeared in the sky. Lightning tribulation. Everyone knew that the lightning tribulation was coming. Night Sorrow, who was meditating, also knew. He was now trying his best to stabilize his cultivation. Next, he was going to receive the baptism of the lightning tribulation. When the lightning tribulation clouds rolled to the extreme, Night Sorrow stood up and put away the spiritual jade block. He held the reincarnation spear in his hand and looked at the rolling lightning tribulation clouds in the sky. At this moment, the members of the god-slaying team arrived. They were all attracted by the lightning tribulation clouds. "Captain, what's going on?" Ling Long asked, puzzled. "The lightning tribulation of advancement," Yang Lei said. "Captain is a second-level martial saint. Why is there a lightning tribulation?" Yin Huang couldn't understand. They hadn't encountered a lightning tribulation when they entered the martial saint realm. However, Night Sorrow had encountered 3 lightning tribulations when he entered the martial saint realm. Now, the lightning tribulation had appeared again. Night Sorrow doesn't just cultivate his vital energy. He also cultivates his body. Now that his body cultivation is successful, the Heavenly Tao's test is coming again. This time, with a high-grade spirit artifact reincarnation spear in his hand, Night Sorrow was full of confidence. He wasn't afraid of fighting. Following an explosion, the lightning tribulation clouds parted. A black-purple thunderbolt struck down at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow stomped his feet and soared into the sky. At the same time, he executed the 7-star Brilliant Moon Spear and attacked the lightning tribulation. After the attack, Night Sorrow's body retreated with an afterimage. At the same time, the reincarnation spear continued to attack. After cultivating in the realm seas, spatial turbulence, and tearing space, Night Sorrow's movement technique was extremely fast. Of course, no matter how fast Night Sorrow was, he couldn't be faster than the Thunderbolt. However, Night Sorrow had the energy from the reincarnation spear to stop the Thunderbolt from advancing. Thus, he was able to keep up with the Thunderbolt's speed. Night Sorrow attacked while retreating. When the 11th attack was launched, the Thunderbolt was dispersed by Night Sorrow. His body flashed and returned to his original position. Night Sorrow waved his reincarnation spear and looked up at the sky again. The lightning tribulation clouds still hadn't dispersed, but he wasn't afraid at all. This spirit, this boldness. Apart from our captain, no one else is like this. Nan Liua looked at Night Sorrow's figure with shock in her eyes. When she first heard of Night Sorrow's name, Nan Liua didn't pay much attention to it. At that time, Night Sorrow's cultivation level wasn't enough to attract her attention. But now, Night Sorrow had already faced 2 lightning tribulations. His combat strength and cultivation level were far from what she could compare to. Then, the second lightning tribulation came. Night Sorrow executed 2 spatial splits to block the Thunderbolt's attack. At this time, Night Sorrow's spatial splits were real spatial splits. The 2 black spatial splits consumed half of the Thunderbolt's energy. Then, Night Sorrow used a few more spear moves to consume the Thunderbolt's energy. The lightning tribulation might be a disaster for others, but it's nothing for the captain. Yin Huang sighed with emotion. When the 3rd lightning tribulation came, Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear focused on the Myriad Tao Treasure Tome's energy and started to clash with the lightning tribulation. Night Sorrow didn't know how many lightning tribulations there would be. Thus, he was very cautious. He didn't use any energy to resist. Because the Myriad Tao Treasure Tome's cultivation level wasn't as high as his quintessential energy cultivation level, Night Sorrow executed 13 spear moves and blocked the 3rd lightning tribulation. At this time, the thunderclouds rolled and dispersed. The sky became cloudless once again. The thunderclouds disappeared, leaving behind a multicolored glow. Night Sorrow roared toward the sky. He sat down and cultivated. His cultivation level of the Myriad Tao Treasure Tome was much more stable than his. The lightning tribulation is very fierce, but our 13th prince is even more ferocious. Seeing that Night Sorrow was fine and had started to stabilize his cultivation, Yang Lei waved her arm. The multicolored glow in the sky enveloped Night Sorrow's body. Following the circulation of energy in Night Sorrow's body, the multicolored glow entered Night Sorrow's body. While meditating, Night Sorrow started to cultivate according to the Myriad Tao Treasure Tome's Spirit Refinement Realm cultivation technique. The cultivation of the Myriad Tao treasure tome also underwent a huge change. Naturally, after absorbing the energy, a portion of it was converted into a special energy that entered the spirit sea. Then the soul energy in the spirit sea entered the body. This was the realm of using one's body to refine one's spirit and using one's spirit to nourish one's body. This realm mainly cultivated one's soul and at the same time strengthened one's cultivation. While Night Sorrow was stabilizing his cultivation, he also used his quintessential energy and the energy of the Myriad Tao treasured tome to envelop the multicolored glow. He knew that this was a good thing, and he definitely couldn't waste it. Chapter 748. Genius Remembers Love in 1 second/small. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. As Yi Shang cultivated, the soul power he left in the silver dusk spirit seemed naturally changed. The most obvious change was that it had a 5-color glow. She didn't quite understand, but she knew that Yi Shang must have encountered some special opportunity. She had never heard of such a situation before, for his soul power to carry the 5-colored glow. While Night Sorrow was cultivating, the others left. Night Sorrow's strength had greatly increased, which gave them the motivation to move forward. Sikong Chiyu, Yang Lei, and Atoy were very happy to see Night Sorrow successfully passing the lightning tribulation. They went to the wooden boat to make tea. In the evening, Night Sorrow stopped cultivating. The cultivation of the Myriad Tao treasure tome had also been completely stabilized. After tidying up his robe, Night Sorrow went to the wooden boat. 13. Congratulations. Aoi poured a cup of tea for Night Sorrow and said, "Yes, thank you, 6th senior sister. My cultivation level is not a problem, so it is not difficult for me to break through. I have a high-grade spiritual weapon, so I am not afraid." Night Sorrow said with a smile. Night Sorrow, when you encountered the lightning tribulation last time, you broke a pair of claws. Think of a way to get another pair in the future. Sikong Chiyu said, I might have needed it in the past, but not now. After I infuse energy into my hands, they are not inferior to a low-grade spiritual weapon. Night Sorrow looked at his hands and said, You've cultivated your body to the point where your spiritual essence fumes soar into the clouds. Currently, there is no one like that. Even the elemental body cannot be compared to yours, said Yang Lei, looking at Yi Shang's head. I still have a lot of desolate stones. I didn't refine them earlier because my body is on the verge of leveling up. If I want stability, I won't be able to level up quickly, so I didn't refine them. I can do it later, said Night Sorrow. The last time you refined the desolate stone, you went into seclusion for more than a month. Are you going to do it again? Yang Lei said gloomily. I won't. This time, I'll refine a little less each time. I'll come out more often to accompany you guys, Night Sorrow said with a smile. I know you're here to improve your cultivation. It's business, but I'm a little reluctant to part with you. I'm not used to not seeing you for so long, Yang Lei said in a low voice. I understand. What's more, last time I brought back some elixirs from Medicine Valley, but I don't know how Master arranged them. Here are some more. You can take them back and give them to your disciples. Take it as a gift from me as your martial uncle. Night Sorrow took out some more elixirs. Is that okay? You have so many senior brothers. You can give them to our disciples. Aoi was a little hesitant. Sigh, it's a burden for 13, but I think it's for his fiancée. If we give it to our disciples, no one will say anything. Besides, 13 didn't shortchange any one of your senior brothers and junior brothers' cultivation resources, right? Yang Lei said. There shouldn't be a problem, Sikong Chi said. As a disciple of Medicine Valley, I have the obligation to make Medicine Valley rise. But from a personal standpoint, I also have my own feelings. Although that's what I said, I can't hurt the relationship between our senior brothers. So I won't keep them. You can give the rest to your senior brother, Night Sorrow said with some emotion. Aoi and Yang Lei nodded. They knew that Night Sorrow was tired, but they couldn't say it. They didn't want to hurt the relationship between their senior and junior brothers. Chiyu, don't just focus on your cultivation. Follow the two senior sisters and get some fresh air. After we're done with Medicine Valley, We can go home and visit. Night Sorrow said to Sikong Chuyu. He felt guilty towards Sikong Chuyu. Back then, when he was still a small fry, Sikong Chuyu was willing to be with him. But now, he already had 3 fiancées. The 4 of them didn't return to the mansion. Instead, they chatted on the wooden boat. At night, they made a bonfire, roasted fish, and drank some wine. After dawn, Night Sorrow sent the 3 girls away. Then, he returned to the mansion's secret cultivation room and entered the space-time pagoda in a flash. The blood in your body is rolling like a tide, and smoke is rising into the sky. Your body's cultivation has improved again? Seeing Night Sorrow enter, In-shi, who was meditating, stood up. Successfully leveled up. Make a pot of hot tea. How have you been recently? Night Sorrow pointed at the teapot and asked. I lost a lot of my cultivation. Now that I've recovered to the peak of the Venerable Realm, it will take some time to enter the Saint Realm, In-shi said. Didn't I give you the Dragon Spirit pills? How many have you used? Night Sorrow asked. I used 7 pills, but I can't use resources to level up at the moment. That will make my foundation unstable. Before entering the Saint Realm, I have to be steady, In-shi said. You have experience in this area. You can decide for yourself. You don't need the Dragon Spirit pills anymore. Give them back to me. You used 7 pills. You're really something, Night Sorrow said. Can't you give them to me? I still need them when I enter the Saint Realm. Although they can increase my cultivation by 1 level, they're still a great help. In-shi took out the pill bottle, but she was reluctant to part with it. Well, you can keep them, but I don't understand. The energy of the Dragon Spirit pills can increase the cultivation of a Venerable by 1 level. You were a level 7 Venerable at that time, and now you're a level 9 Venerable. You took 7 of them? How did you manage to take them? Night Sorrow asked. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation what? I'm different from other cultivators. I have the realm, the foundation, and the strength of my soul. What I lack is energy. So after taking them, I compressed them with all my strength. 2 Dragon Spirit pills were enough to replenish my cultivation by 1 level, In-shi said. I see. Then I understand. You can use them as you see fit, Night Sorrow said. Then I'll keep them. My cultivation speed is fast. It's only good for you, In-shi said. Also, how's the cultivation of your chi and blood force? Night Sorrow asked. Then I'll be direct. There's a special situation. The resources you gave me can increase my chi and blood force, but they can't be stabilized. In other words, after I use my ultimate skill, it will be consumed. However, the essence you left in my body is different. It's equivalent to merging with my body. If I cultivate diligently, my chi and blood force will be fundamentally improved. Then, when I use my ultimate skill, Wind Escape, I won't suffer from a loss of chi and blood force. In-shi said, but her voice wasn't loud. What she meant was that she still wanted more. But she couldn't say, Night Sorrow, come and take me. I'm also confused. Actually, it was my intention to subdue you and make you my fighter. I didn't want to take advantage of you, Night Sorrow sighed. In fact, Night Sorrow felt that it was normal to subdue In-shi. After all, In-shi was the one who dealt with him first. However, now that he had a relationship with In-shi, Night Sorrow felt that he was lacking and was somewhat disgraceful. I've been cultivating longer than you, so I can understand your mentality. Some things are my own fault. You didn't do anything wrong. I've accepted my fate since I was captured by you. If you want to fight, I can fight. If you want something, I can give it to you. My only hope is that you can retain some dignity, In-shi said. Chapter 749. Geniuses Remember Love in 1 Second. I will provide you with wonderful novels to read. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and nodded. Okay, if you need me to do anything, just tell me. As long as I recover my cultivation to the Saint Realm, I won't be afraid of ordinary beginner saints. She said. Sometimes, I really don't understand how things ended up like this. Night Sorrow sighed with emotion. Maybe this is fate. I've been cultivating for a long time, but I didn't expect to fall into the hands of a venerable and even lose my virginity. Inchi sighed and said, Virginity? Night Sorrow was stunned for a moment and looked at Inchi. Are you playing dumb? You didn't see the blood at that time. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Inchi's eyes were burning with anger. I thought you were hurt, so I didn't think in that direction. You've been cultivating for a long time, but you haven't married? Night Sorrow was surprised. No. In the past years, I've been obsessed with cultivation and always wanted to suppress Yelan Jun, so I didn't think about the relationship between a man and a woman. Now that I'm with you, I don't need to maintain my dignity. I want to cultivate and improve the fundamental strength of my body and the strength of my chi and blood. Inchi nodded and looked at Night Sorrow. I didn't think about it, but with you like this, how can I bear it? Night Sorrow smiled bitterly. In fact, he had been avoiding having sex with Inchi, but the reality was different for what he expected. Then Inchi went behind Night Sorrow and undressed. She still had to maintain a little dignity, so she didn't want to change clothes in front of Night Sorrow. Yishang took off his robe, turned around, and carried Inchi to the spiritual jade stone block he was cultivating on. Then he lifted Inchi's two jade-like legs with both hands and began a breakthrough. D. Head XK hair. X-Night Sorrow, who had cultivated the outer section of the Myriad Tao Tome, had a strong body, which was not something Inchi could withstand. Her cries reverberated in the space of the space-time treasure pagoda. However, not long after, her cries turned into sounds of pleasure. The battle between the two lasted for a very long time, and only ended after 2 hours. You don't know how to take care of people at all. You and your woman would never be like this. Inchi wiped the sweat from her forehead and said, Like you said, she's my woman. You're not, Night Sorrow said as he put on his robe. That's why you do as you please. Inchi felt a little wronged because Night Sorrow didn't pity her at all. Night Sorrow put on his robe and sat down on the spirit jade block. At the same time, he took out the desolate stone and began to cultivate. Inchi also began to cultivate. She wanted to refine the essence energy that Night Sorrow left in her body. Night Sorrow cultivated for 8 days. Because of the increase in his cultivation, Night Sorrow's speed of refining the desolate stone had also increased. The refining time had also shortened. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow took out another desolate stone and continued to refine it. After entering the space-time treasure pagoda for a little more than half a month, Night Sorrow had refined 2 desolate stones. After sensing his body, Night Sorrow discovered that while increasing the energy attribute of the Myriad Tao Tome, his cultivation had also increased by a lot. After all, the desolate stone didn't only contain the power of desolates, it also contained pure energy. After glancing at Inchi, Night Sorrow didn't care about that thirsty gaze and directly left the space-time treasure pagoda. Half a month had passed. Aoi and the other 2 must have returned. You want to go out and take a look. Otherwise, the 3 of them would be anxious again. After exiting the secret cultivation room, Night Sorrow saw the 3 women and old man Gu drinking tea in the courtyard in front of the mansion. You're very obedient this time. Seeing Night Sorrow come out, Yang Lei smiled and nodded. Isn't it because I was afraid that 9th senior sister would be angry? Night Sorrow sat down and said with a smile, Okay, if you're obedient, I won't be angry. Yang Lei said as she hooked her arm around Night Sorrow's neck. How's the Medicine Valley? Night Sorrow asked. Of course it's good. Excluding you, the Medicine Valley still has the 3 sovereigns and a lot of stage 5 cultivators. It has the strength to become the #1 sect in the Eastern Profound Domain. In addition, the Medicine Valley has done a good job in expanding its medicinal pill resources. It has now reached the unbounded desolation realm. Of course, this was arranged by Aunt Fei. Yang Lei said, It's fine as long as the sect is doing well. How's your business? Night Sorrow asked again. It's all done. We even went to Chiyu's place to eat and drink a few times, Aoi said with a smile. Then I'm relieved. Night Sorrow nodded. Then, Night Sorrow went to see Tianyu. Afterward, the few of them drank tea, chatted, and had dinner together. Young Lei smiled at Night's sorrow and Aoi, then went to cultivate with Sikong Chuyu. 13th junior brother. How did the two of them become partners? Aoi's face was flushed. It's nothing. They just want to give us more time alone. Night's sorrow held Aoi's hand and led her to the pavilion where Aoi lived. Night's sorrow was especially gentle when he was with Aoi. Among the three women, Aoi was the weakest, and Night's sorrow cared about her the most. 13th junior brother, 6th senior sister will try her best to adapt, but she can't do it now. Why don't you go and find them? Aoi said with an apologetic look. 6th senior sister, don't be like this. 9th senior sister and Chuyu can't do it either. They bully me together, Night's sorrow said with a smile. The two of them are so embarrassing. Aoi buried her head in Night's sorrow's chest. Night's sorrow also smiled. They were a family, so there was nothing to hide. Aoi might have felt it too, but she wasn't sure. It's nothing. We are a family. Night's sorrow patted Aoi's back. So they're like this. No wonder I can't do it. But there are some things that 6th senior sister needs to think about. Although junior brother is the one benefiting, we can't be too embarrassed. Aoi said after thinking for a while. 6th senior sister, I am actually very happy with this kind of life. I don't always think about this when I am with you. Night's sorrow said. 6th senior sister understands, but we can't always let you be like this. Let's not talk about this anymore. Let's rest and lie in 13th junior brother's arms. Aoi moved her body to make herself more comfortable. After resting for a night, while Night's sorrow was practicing his spear art, Young Lei teased Aoi for a while. You two are not embarrassed. You two are together, and I am alone. Atsui looked at Young Lei and Sikong Chuyu and said unhappily, then we will be together in the future. I am just worried that 6th senior sister can't accept it. Yang Lei said. Night's sorrow couldn't stay any longer because it was all about women. He went to the lake and started practicing his spear art. It was a chaotic world now. Yishang was anxious to increase his strength. Strength was the foundation of everything. He had absorbed 2 desolation stones. Whether it was the desolation's hand or the Myriad Tao Tome spear technique, their power had increased greatly. It was not just a little, but a great improvement. Firstly, the Myriad Tao Tome had leveled up. The energy in Night's sorrow's body had become much stronger. Secondly, the quality had increased. The 2 desolate stones made Night's sorrow's Myriad Tao Tome's energy attack stronger. Chapter 750. Genius 1, Second Remember Love, Go Divided by Shao. We provide you with wonderful novels to read. How Ian City had not appeared for 10,000 years. No one knew what the situation was like. If there was an opportunity, then the first person to enter would definitely benefit. Baidu search, Love Go Female Sign Shao, Shua www.ai2x. So after cultivating for a while, Night's sorrow entered the space-time pagoda to recover. However, he did not talk to Yin Shi. When facing her, Night's sorrow felt a little awkward. After cultivating for a day, Night's sorrow returned to his residence. After eating dinner, he greeted the 3 girls. He had to continue refining the desolate stone. Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Atoi nodded. They knew that Night's sorrows accompanying them had already delayed his cultivation. In addition, improving his cultivation was also a big matter. It was hard to say what kind of opponents he would face in the future. If he lost because the gap was not large, then it might be because of his slacking today. Seeing Night's sorrow come in, Inshi was stunned. Didn't you cultivate during the day? You still want to cultivate at night? Night's sorrow took out a desolate stone and nodded. I want to strengthen my attribute. What about you? When can you return to the Saint Realm? If you can return to the Saint Realm, then I will bring you out to explore. It will be more confident. Where do you plan to go? Inshi asked curiously. For example, if there is a chance to enter Haotian City, or we can enter the Supreme River Space. The last time I entered, I couldn't fight because my strength was too low. I didn't dare to explore carefully. That was an ancient battlefield from 10,000 years ago. It's not right that there are no remnants. Night Sorrow thought for a while and said, "Didn't you say that we can't enter the Supreme River space?" Inchi frowned and asked, "Others can't enter, but I can. My Nihility protective chi cover can suppress any attribute below the Supreme attribute." Night Sorrow said, "That's too abnormal. No wonder. In the history of cultivators, there's never been a supreme attribute. Even high-level attributes are extremely rare. Excluding the high-level attributes brought by innate talents, those who have high-level attributes themselves are very rare." Baidu search, love, go, xiao, shua, www.aichux.com. Inchi said, "How many saints are there with high-level attributes?" Night Sorrow asked, "How many? I don't know about Long Xiansheng, but the Golden Phoenix is a high-level attribute. As for the others, including the arrogant Xiaolanjun, they're only at the peak of ordinary attributes." Inchi said. She had a deep grudge against Xiaolanjun and scolded her the moment she mentioned Xiaolanjun. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, "But there are some cultivators with advanced attributes. There are also some supremacies with advanced attributes. It's very difficult to have a high-grade attribute, and it's even more difficult to upgrade a normal attribute to a high-grade one. Not to mention entering the Saint realm with a high-grade attribute. That's as difficult as ascending to the heavens. How can one master a high-grade attribute's rule power? Since he couldn't find any source stones, what about Saint crystals? How could a cultivator without a high-grade attribute cultivate to the Sage realm, obtain a high-grade attribute Saint crystal? As for the special places where the rule power can be displayed, it's very rare, not to mention the places where the high-grade rule power can be displayed. It's going to be very difficult for you in the future." Inchi looked at Night Sorrow and said, "I already said that I have the Nihility Fate Pearl. Why are you worrying about me? I'm the one asking you now." Night Sorrow glared at Inchi and said, I still need to refine it. I still need some time. It's hard to say how much time I'll need." Inchi muttered, "Don't meddle in my business. Work hard on your cultivation. Don't drag me out and get destroyed by others." Night Sorrow said snappily. Seeing that Night Sorrow's tone wasn't good, Inchi didn't say anything. She was a little afraid of Night Sorrow in her heart because she couldn't bear the torture from her soul. "Work hard on your cultivation. If you need any resources, just tell me." Seeing that Inchi was obedient, Night Sorrow said and began to meditate to refine the Desolate Stone. SX Genuine Edition W/9X. Seeing that Night Sorrow had begun to cultivate, Inchi didn't say anything. In fact, she still wanted Night Sorrow's essence blood. However, Night Sorrow didn't want it. After refining another Desolate Stone, Night Sorrow stopped cultivating. He couldn't absorb the energy from the Desolate Stone to cultivate anymore. His Myriad Tao treasured tome was strengthened by his elemental power. The number of books had also increased to the peak of level 1 spirit refinement realm. "Make a pot of tea," Night Sorrow said to Inchi. Inchi got up from the futon and went to make tea. "Okay, I'll go to a small town later. You go and buy what you need," Night Sorrow said to Inchi, who was making tea. Inchi nodded. She had always had high standards for her life. The tea she was drinking now was of the highest quality. After drinking the tea, Night Sorrow left the space-time pagoda. He knew that Inchi needed his essence blood. It wasn't that he didn't want it, but he felt that it wasn't suitable. Within the space-time pagoda, Inchi's eyes were filled with disappointment. She knew very well what was going on. Night Sorrow wouldn't want to have anything to do with her if he could control himself. After leaving the space-time pagoda, Night Sorrow ate breakfast with the girls. Then, he went to the lakeside to cultivate. The girls also followed Night Sorrow. They had been cultivating hard for a while. Now, they also wanted to relax. Seeing Night Sorrow cultivate the spatial split, the girls were shocked. They had seen this before. After cultivating for a while, he returned to the wooden boat. After greeting the girls, Night Sorrow entered the space-time pagoda to recover. Seeing Night Sorrow meditating, Inchi's face was filled with admiration. Night Sorrow was too persistent and hardworking. After recovering, Night Sorrow continued to cultivate the spatial split. The girls also began to cultivate their sword techniques. They all wanted to cultivate their intent realm. In the evening, after eating dinner, Night Sorrow looked at the three girls. Cultivate well. I plan to go to the Night Moon City for a walk. You don't need us to accompany you? Yang Lei asked. No need. I'm just going out for a breath of fresh air. I'll come back later to rest. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Then, Night Sorrow took the teleportation array and left. He wanted to go to the Night Moon Dynasty's city to take a look. He also wanted to buy some things for Inshi. Night Sorrow looked around the Night Moon City. Then, he went to Wuyo City and Wuemo City. Then, he teleported to a city that the Night Moon had just taken back. Put on a veil and disguise yourself. I'll let you out later. Night Sorrow communicated with Inshi. Then, Night Sorrow went to a secluded corner and Night Sorrow let Inshi out. Go buy the things you need. Remember, don't go too far from me. Otherwise, I'll treat it as you running away. You'll be embarrassed. Night Sorrow said to Inshi, whose hair was wrapped in a veil and her face was still covered. Can't you just walk a few steps behind me? How do I know how far you can sense me? Inshi was a little depressed. If Night Sorrow didn't follow her, she didn't dare to walk around. She didn't know how far Night Sorrow's sensing range was. Okay, go. Night Sorrow waved his hand at Inshi. Yishang was speechless as he watched Inshi buy things. It was as if she was moving things. Silks, brocade quilts, ancient wooden tea tables. Inshi moved them all in her storage ring. Chapter 751. Genius 1, Second Remember Love, Go Divided by Xiao. We provide you with interesting novels to read. When there was no one around, Night Sorrow kept In, she who did not resist into the time and space pagoda. Then he returned to his residence in the city in the sky. Baidu search AI Go female sign Xiao, say www.aichuxs. So when Night Sorrow returned, Sikong Chiyu, Yang Lei and Aoi were sipping tea while looking at the night sky on the observation deck of the residence. You women really have good taste in life. After sitting down, Night Sorrow poured himself a cup of tea and said, Hee, don't you want your women to have good taste? Could it be that you will be satisfied if we become haggard women? Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and said, No, that's not what I meant. However, even if you are haggard women, you are still the women in my heart. Isn't that so? Night Sorrow said with a smile. You sound happy to hear that. Ninth Senior Sister is just joking. We know what kind of person you are. Sikong Chuyu said after pouring water into Night Sorrow's empty teacup. After chatting for a while, everyone went to cultivate. As for the matters between men and women, everyone was a cultivator and they could restrain themselves. The matters between men and women were also for the sake of emotional exchanges. Night Sorrow also entered the secret cultivation room and began his cultivation. In his current state of cultivation, Night Sorrow was fully focused on cultivating his innate bloodline power and soul power. Because Night Sorrow had been cultivating these two types of power very well, his foundation was not unstable at all. As for his true Qi and the Myriad Tao text, one was at the peak of the second level of the Venerable Realm, while the other was at the peak of the first level of the Spirit Refinement Realm. Both of them were obtained quickly and required time to stabilize. After cultivating for a night, Night Sorrow went to the courtyard to cultivate his spear intent realm early in the morning. After eating breakfast, Aoi said, I won't be watching you cultivate. I'm going to break through to the fourth level of the Void Inquiry stage. At the same time, Kong Chuyu and Yang Lei also had the same intention. Night Sorrow nodded and went to the lakeside to cultivate. Every day, Tianyu would crawl by the side of the lake and sleep. When he slept, he would cultivate. Baidu search AI Go female sign Xiao, say www.aichuxs. So Night Sorrow held the reincarnation spear and began to cultivate the spatial split. At the same time, he used the violent energy within the spatial turbulence to stabilize his cultivation. When he entered the space-time pagoda to recover, Night Sorrow was stunned for a moment. This was because the space on the 60th floor had been decorated like a boudoir by Inshi. There was a large pink bed, a purple curtain, and a set of antique furniture. There was also a tea table and a hollow wooden stool. Your quality of life has improved exponentially, Night Sorrow said as he pulled over a wooden stool and sat down. It's not easy to live. Why don't you treat yourself better? She said, You're right. When I cultivate in the future, I'll feel more comfortable when I recover, Night Sorrow said with a nod. She was very understanding and poured some tea for Night Sorrow. Quickly recover to the Saint Realm. Otherwise, you won't be one of the top cultivators, Night Sorrow said as he took a sip of tea. I'm really not in a hurry. If I improve my physical fitness and chi and blood energy, then speed will be my strength. I'll have a great advantage in battle, she said. Every time we talk, this problem is always involved. Don't you have any other way? To be honest, I don't want to do that. I have 3 fiancés. I don't want to let them down, Night Sorrow said with a sigh. If you don't say it, I don't say it. Who will know? She said, There are some things that others don't know. It's enough for me to know. I can't get past myself, Night Sorrow said. It's not the first time. What's the point of avoiding this now? I won't use this as a bargaining chip to negotiate with you. Since I've been subdued by you, I'll use my own ability to make my life better. It's enough for you to treat them better in the future, she said. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and nodded. There was indeed no point in avoiding it now. She was right. He should treat them better in the future. Night Sorrow could really let go of himself when he was with Shi. No matter what, Shi would cooperate. She was very cooperative, not accompanied by choking sounds. Night Sorrow wanted to stop, but she wouldn't let him. Night Sorrow could only continue fighting. After 2 hours, Shi got what she wanted. Why did you do that? Night Sorrow said with a sigh after tidying himself up. What's wrong? That's normal. Otherwise, as a former 7-star saint, why would I do that? She shook her head. She understood that Night Sorrow had no experience in this area. All right, I don't understand. I won't care if you cry or not in the future, Night Sorrow said and went to meditate. She glanced at Night Sorrow and went to meditate. She wanted to refine the resources she had just obtained to strengthen herself. Night Sorrow tore the space again and again. He used and tempered his true chi and energy in the turbulent space and returned to the space-time pagoda to recover. After half a month, Night Sorrow decided to break through. His true chi cultivation was already very solid. He didn't want to suppress the Myriad treasure tome anymore. He would break through when it was time. During this period of time, Inshi's progress was also quite big. Night Sorrow could feel that Inshi's body had become stronger. Her chi and blood were also different from before. Night Sorrow's cultivation advanced to level 3 Honor Realm on the wooden boat. Then, he directly broke through the Myriad treasure tome's cultivation to level 2 Spirit Refinement Realm. After Night Sorrow had dinner with the girls, he entered the secret cultivation room again and entered the space-time pagoda in a flash. Genuine first appearance. Your cultivation has improved again. She was surprised to see Night Sorrow. If you can improve, why can't I? What's your cultivation level now? Night Sorrow took the tea from Shi and asked. My cultivation is still stabilizing, but I'm not far from entering the Sage Realm. Shi said. What about the cultivation of your body? What exactly are you cultivating? Night Sorrow looked at Shi and asked. I have 2 ultimate attributes, and have cultivated the ultimate body. However, this still can't support me to use the wind elemental escape. Only the fusion of the 2 ultimate bodies, which is the Feng Shui body, can do that. I'm now cultivating to prepare for the fusion of the 2 ultimate bodies. Shi explained to Night Sorrow. So that's the situation. I understand. Night Sorrow nodded. But you still have to help me. There's still a long way to go. Shi said. I don't understand. I'm the one who subdued you. But now, am I the one who's exploiting you? Or are you the one who's exploiting me? Night Sorrow said speechlessly. What are you talking about? Even if you've subdued me, you can't pretend to be obedient after taking advantage of me. Don't you feel good? What position do you want? What request did I not satisfy? Shi looked at Night Sorrow and said, I admit that, but it's all to help you cultivate. Night Sorrow looked at Shi and said, "You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.